Stick to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Pun Kelly get caught in the fake. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, dissect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Machine Pun Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello and welcome to the Pun Show. Ready to step into the light where the real facts grow? Glow? I hope so. You don't know. Unless you got to go or something. I'll stop doing that now because I know it's probably annoying. So I'll talk a little bit about the Trump economy and whether it's actually getting better or whether or not this 4.3% is a bit of a misleading mirage. And I'll talk about for that a bit. But also I felt like I didn't really plan much. I was almost not even going to do a show today. But then I decided to go ahead and do one because why not? And not like I have anything better to do. But so I figured I'd also do like an AMA within reason. So if you have any questions or any challenges or, you know, any they don't have to be friendly questions. They can be aggressive questions. But if you have anything you want to push back on that I've talked about or go ahead. I think before people have wanted to talk to me about things and I said, you know, I'm doing a show right now and don't want to talk about that. So if you're out there, guy that wants me to talk about Kamala Harris for some reason, go ahead. Now's your chance. Or the one dude that wanted to talk about something that happened to, I don't know. There's been some weird questions. I may not know them right away, but if you give me a second, I can kind of look into it and tell you what I think about it. But anyway, let's talk about the economy a little bit. The economy technically grew by 4.3%, or the GDP did. I don't know if that means the economy did. And there's some stuff about that is dubious. And to be fair, it was dubious when it was happening under Joe Biden as well. And I was saying the same thing under Joe Biden as well. There's been concerns about the economy for a few years now. And we've kind of just ignored those concerns and brushed them off. And the GDP can be like football statistics where, you know, you look at one statistic and you conclude too much of it, or you can conclude too much from it. You know, like people will look at Caleb Williams' passing percentage and say that means he's a terrible quarterback because he's got a low passing percentage. But then you start looking behind the numbers and you watch a game or two and he gets pressured a lot. And so he throws away a lot of passes where the intention is not to complete the pass. And he's actually doing a good thing rather than getting sacked. He's throwing away the ball. So it's actually a net positive play, but he gets negative. Anyway, GDP can be the same way. GDP is it's a measurement, but it's not standalone indicative of anything. And if you start peeling back some of the numbers of the GDP, and if you don't know what GDP is, it is consumption, which includes all consumer spending, government, which is all government spending, investments, which is all new investments, and that's only new investments. It doesn't include, like, if you have a business already and you buy new shares for it, that would go under consumption. But if you're starting a new business and you buy new shares for it, then that would go under investment. And then you have net exports. So if we go through each of those four things, and I did not research this a lot, a lot of it is just working knowledge, and so I could be wrong about some things. I've been wrong about things before. It's happened at least twice in the last 20 years. You know, so if you want to push back or challenge me on something, I'll be happy to look it up. But the first thing is consumption, and consumption just means all the spending that we spend as a society, other than government spending and investments. And so, like, you go and you buy a taco, that's part of consumption. You pay your rent, that's part of consumption. You buy new business chairs, like I was saying, or new chairs for your business, that's consumption. Hi. So consumption has actually, I think it ticked up a little bit. But the problem right now with consumption is we are hitting record credit card debt and record like payday loans and stuff like that. A lot of the money that's being spent is being borrowed, which means it's not money that consumers have right now. And so, you know, it's like getting ready to go into Christmas season, or, you know, whatever reason, people are spending the same amount of money, but they're spending money they don't have. And so that, to me, that's a stressor on the economy. When you start getting record debt, and you've got record numbers of people that are skipping their credit card bills or missing their credit card bills, and all of that, which we do, you're starting to see, like, the consumption is there, so the GDP looks okay. But when you peel back that number and you see the credit debt going up, and this is one of those things where I'm not like ready to say this is Biden's fault or this is Trump's fault or this was Trump's fault before Biden. I think this has been happening since Bush, but it's getting worse and worse and worse, and now it's getting to a breaking point. It all started in the 2008 crash when Bush said go out and spend money on your credit card, and then we did some things to make it easier to get credit cards and to make it easier to charge higher interest rates on credit cards. And so right now, I think I'm not sure on this, I'll have to double check on it. But if anybody wants to, you know, look it up, I believe that right now, consumer debt, credit card debt, is actually higher than the national debt. Like, we owe a lot of money to ourselves. Is it GDP formula described here? Yeah, GDP is consumption plus GDP, or I'm sorry, GDP is consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. It's actually a pretty simple formula. And then when they talk up 3.6% or whatever, it's just the percent that it went up on an annualized basis for that quarter. So it doesn't mean it increased 4.6%. It means that if it increased by this percent over a year, it would be 4.6%. We are not talking about the CCCP today. And we weren't really talking about the CCCP yesterday. We were talking about technology. So the consumption part of GDP is, of course, Skippy, if you'd like to, once I'm done with this, I'm going to have the AMA. So if you want to ask me about the CCP, go ahead. I don't really know anything about the CCP. I'm not studied up. I don't really care about, you know, Chinese politics that much. I'm just more cared about the American economy, and like that we don't fall behind. So the consumption part of GDP is not getting hit, but the spending part of it is kind of fake because we're borrowing money to spend it. We're not having the money to spend, which is kind of what it's doing there, right? The second part of it is investments. And most of our GDP growth is coming from one thing, and that is from AI, from investments in AI. In fact, that 4.2% would actually be, if you were to extract AI from the whole picture, from the amount of investments that have gone into AI and the jobs that have gone into AI and stuff, it would actually only be 0.1%. So a lot of this is in AI, and a lot of AI has not really started to result in profits yet. And I'm not like bashing AI. I'm not saying I'm against AI or anything. I know nuance is probably not really always the best thing on the interwebs, but there's good with AI, there's bad with AI. But right now I'm just talking about there's been a lot of money invested in AI, and almost all our investments are in AI. And if you were to take, like the stock market's up, but if you were to take the companies that are vested in AI out of it, like the rest of it is down. So outside of AI, the economy is not doing great. And like if AI pays off, that could be good. But if AI doesn't pay off, all our eggs are in that basket. Or if China beats us in AI, which it looks like they're going to, and Donald Trump is sending them our best AI chips. I mean, which I do not understand that. You should ask him about that, Skippy. But that could end up being damaging. But so you've got the consumption, you got the investment, you got the government, which we know government spending is down because that was their campaign promise, and they laid off a bunch of people and fired a bunch of people, and they're proud of it, and they're proud of the government spending being down. But I don't think that's really hit the GDP. The effect of that has hit the GDP yet. I know that there are some people that have an extreme minority opinion that somehow cutting government spending will all of a sudden release all this funding for private enterprise, as though Elon Musk has been he would have hired more people, he just didn't have enough money. I don't know where this kind of thinking comes from, but that's what they're saying. I mean, the kind of thinking comes from people that are telling them to cut taxes and do all this stuff. The last aspect, the net imports is, our net exports is because of the tariff war, they front loaded a bunch of imports. And so like the first quarter it was down, and then the second quarter it was up because we weren't importing as much, because we all imported it on the first. So if you look at the actual year in review, where actually the GDP is more like 2.5%, it's not 4.6%. The 4.6 is compensating for the negative job, the negative GDP growth in the first quarter. So you got to take that with a grain of salt too. So in all four areas of the GDP, consumption, investment, consumption is up, but only because of credit card spending. And then investment is up, but only because of AI. And government spending is down, and net exports are better, but only because of tariffs. And the thing about the tariffs and the net exports is it's not good for the economy necessarily. It just means that the net exports isn't really an indicator of how the economy is doing. It's just kind of a tuner. If you're buying and selling less, like if you were buying $100 and selling $50, and so then your net export is $50, but then you go to, you're buying $10 and you're selling $5, your net exports has gotten better, but the actual amount of money exchanging hands is lower, and so that doesn't necessarily mean it's gotten better. It means there's less commerce going on. That means the economy is actually slowing. So net exports can look better, but actually be an indication of a slowing economy, which it seems to be. So you put all those things together, GDP does not look as great as it is. So we got somebody saying this Trump hater here, right here. If he has anything to do with Donald Trump, he hates it. But if it's a Democrat, he loves it. Go figure. Actually, if you're listening, I've said this has been going on since Bush. Like a lot of this is not Trump. It's not Biden. It's not Obama. It's not Bush. It's the way our economy has been going for over 20 years. So none of this am I just blaming Trump on. The only part I put on Trump is the tariffs that Trump imposed. And the mass deportations, which are also going to have a negative impact on the economy. But a lot of this stuff, like the AI stuff, has nothing to do with Trump and has nothing to do with Biden. That's just private enterprise. Has nothing to do with either one of them. I don't blame Trump for all of that. And I think anybody that does is not being responsible. So, hi, Favor. So you put those things together and you know, I would love it if the economy were growing at 4.6%, but it's not. It's just not. And then you start looking at some of the things, like you see these massive job shifts, you know, like where these massive job adjustments where it's like minus 1 million or whatever. And that goes back to the AI thing. And when they're figuring out these adjustment figures, they have people send in these reviews. And then they estimate based on all these new, they call them births and deaths. And that's not like births and deaths of people. Those are births and deaths of people. And then through the births and deaths, they make assumptions about new jobs and, you know, how many jobs are traditionally going to be made in this sector off of this job. And what happened is a lot of these new jobs with the AIs are not real jobs. I don't know if you've been in the market or not, or if you know anything, but they have companies like Mercer. And Mercer will go and an AI company will say, okay, we need somebody to train us how to train AI how to read speech in things. So we need you to go through and we needed you to look at all the text and make sure you get all the text exactly right so that the AI can learn to recognize text. And so they'll have like 500 people going over all these text videos. And then once those text videos are all done, and it's not like text videos, they're like just videos that have like signs in them or whatever, like just any old TikTok video or Instagram video or whatever. And they'll just read the signs and you type it in there. I've had a few of these jobs. And you know, they pay halfway decent sometimes and sometimes they don't. But the point is they last a few months maybe and then they go away. So this one AI company, like you could hire 500 people 3 different times and looks like they hired 1,500 people, but nobody's there employed right now other than a few people that started the AI. So it creates this kind of false impression. Nobody's doing anything wrong. Nobody's doing anything illegal. There's no scams being run, and it's not, you know, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics isn't calculating anything wrong. It's just that the algorithms that we run haven't caught up to the whole AI way of hiring. And so you end up with this kind of false job reports. And that's why you had this massive adjustment under Trump. And it's why you had a massive adjustment under Biden. Has nothing to do with either president or the BLS director. It just has to do with AI making the numbers all wonky. So any man that works at home ain't a man. Go. Okay, I have no idea what do you do for a living, Trumpster? So, what is a real man anyway? I mean, what I don't understand like why people have to be like hostile about everything. Why can't you just have a conversation? Like nobody's criticizing anybody. Why can't you just be like a normal person for like 5 minutes instead of like this angsty little troll caricature of a person? Um so you've got all these stressors that, and then you've got the interest rate, or the inflation rate, where the inflation rate is 2.7%, which is actually what it was about a year ago. It's not like it's really come down, but it not going up is actually encouraging to me if it's actually not going up. The problem with the inflation rate is that because of the shutdown, they did not track the numbers in October the way they normally do. And so then when they tracked the numbers in November, they were able to get most of the numbers, but they compared them to September. And then even the ones they tracked in September weren't all the exact same numbers that they traditionally track. So it might be a different brand of food or something like that. So they were using like a name brand, and now they're not. I'm not sure exactly how all that works out, but they're not comparing apples to apples. They're comparing apples to oranges. And so then the price could be lower because it's lower, or it could be lower because they just selected a different version. And that is even more problematic because typically when they release these surveys, they tell you exactly what it is. And so that macroeconomist that knows what they're talking about, I wouldn't be able to go in and look at it. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm not an expert in everything. I wouldn't know what to look at, but normally I could go and look at what macroeconomists who know what they're talking about look at and kind of try to read and understand what they're saying. Well, you can't even do that now because they didn't release the actual data. It's all kind of this opaque hidden thing, which makes people even more uncertain about it. And so then all of that, like, okay, so the GDP is kind of like it's got this kind of fake growth, and you've got the interest rates are maybe coming down, but maybe not. We don't know, or not the interest rates, the inflation rates are coming down, but maybe that's kind of fake too. And you've got the job numbers. We don't know what's going on with that. Is it going to be another massive thing? And right now we're in a place where they call it slow hire, slow fire, which means there's not new jobs and people aren't quite getting laid off, but there's all of that kind of pokes to uncertainty. You've got volatility in the stock market where it'll go way up and then it'll go way down and go way up and go way down, all depending on how many times Donald Trump decided to say something today. And so then you have people, they don't know what tariffs are going to happen tomorrow. And nobody wants to invest a bunch of money if tariffs are going to change from day to day. And unless it's AI, because he likes AI, and that just compounds that problem. And so right now we've got a lot of economic uncertainty. And we have an opaque administration that's not really telling us what's going on. And we have a president, and this time I am going to criticize Trump, Mr. Trumpster 74, because it's a fair criticism. We have a president that doesn't seem engaged with reality. He's just going to lecture us and tell us that everything is the best it's ever been, except for the things that are the worst they've ever been. And the things that are the best that they've ever been are the best they've ever been because of him. And everything that's the worst it's ever been is the worst it's ever been because of Biden. And there's just no engaging in conversation there. It's just everything is the best ever or the worst ever. He is the greatest ever. Biden is the worst ever. And it's just like there's no place for a conversation to be had, like about, well, things like credit card debt being at an all-time high. How can we bring that down? How can we have real conversations? And you can say just like the last president, and I agree. Joe Biden should have been out in front more. Joe Biden should have been answering more questions. This is not partisan. All right. So it doesn't have to be partisan. This whole discussion does not have to be partisan. I would love it if I could engage with people who don't agree with me politically, but could actually engage on the merits of a conversation instead of Biden bad, Trump good, or people who agree with me that could be beyond Trump bad, Biden good. Let's have a conversation on substance, on the actual things. Like, it's not good that we have all-time credit card debt. And it's not just credit card debt now. It's credit card debt plus these like payday loans and these high interest loans that are just draconian. Like, you can borrow $500 for a payday loan and you can spend like $150 a week paying that off for a year, and then after a year you still owe $500. These are like really crazy, and they need to be legislated out. Why was it ever even allowed to be legislated in? I don't know. Why isn't Congress actually addressing things like that have nothing to do with partisan politics? Like, does anybody think that payday loans are like a good thing? These high interest draconian loans, those things are going to kill the economy. Right now, we have in the 1980s, we had people on the bottom half of the economy that could still build wealth. They could buy a house and they could build wealth. Now that same money is going to building debt. Right now, the bottom half of our economy is building debt, not wealth. And it's just a debt cycle that gets worse and worse and worse. And that's going to stress test the economy. The economy is going to stretch beyond its breaking point at some point. And we as Americans need to engage in real conversation about how we can solve these things instead of finger pointing at Trump, instead of finger pointing at Biden, instead of finger pointing at Republicans or Democrats. Let's get beyond partisan politics and get into problem solving politics. Like, is that really too much to ask? I don't understand. Like, why is it that we can't have substantive conversation instead of partisan debate? LOOL. Is that like an LOL with a typo, or is LOL something I'm not up on all my internet rhetoric, so we are already past sustainable living. And I think for a lot of Americans, that is absolutely the case. And especially now with the ACA subsidies getting ready to be like, things are about to get bad. And I really mean, like, with the mass deportations, we're just about, like, not everything in the economy is an instant result. Like the mass deportations, there is a delayed impact of that. And we're just now starting to feel the delayed impact of that. You go and you see your produce is starting to tick up. The beef prices, a lot of that has to do with mass deportations, because like a third of the people that work in the meatpacking industry were undocumented workers. So that means they have cows that are either being butchered too late, or the cows that aren't being butchered at all, or they have cows that are butchered, but they're not processed in time. So then all that meat just spoils. We've got problems with the economy because of mass deportations, but they just haven't been felt yet. You've got cows going unmilked. You've got crops being unharvested. And all of that is going to mean that all the people that would be, it's like the undocumented workers aren't there. But that means the farm worker that owns the farm isn't going to be in business anymore. That means the truck driver that delivered the strawberries isn't going to be employed anymore. And that means the people that the grocery stores that sell the strawberries, some of them are going to lose their jobs. There's going to be a ripple effect. For every 500,000 people that are deported, there's 44,000 No, I'm sorry. Let me get this right. I think it's about 44,000 for every 500,000 that for every 100,000 people, for every million people deported, 44,000 people lose their jobs. That's what I'm trying to say. So, all right, we've got some yelling here, and I hope some of this can be like conversation. Like, this is really what I want to have as a conversation. So even if you disagree with me, go ahead and push back. I am not, but do me a favor. If you're going to correct me on something, Google it to see if I'm wrong first. Because I see too many people that like they say wrong, and then I'm not wrong, because I know I've actually researched it and studied it and know that I'm not. So at least check to see if I'm right. Okay. They say that a dog is man's best friend. But what if I want more than just a friendship? I don't have a take on bestiality. I don't understand why that's being asked. I have been saying, what are you saying, for many years. Oh, I have been saying what? Thank you. Whichever side of the aisle you're on, I think we need more people saying this. And I think we need less people yelling at each other. Slowing down the economy is the right thing to do right now. People and companies need to feel the stress. People need to start paying down their debt. How does slowing down the economy help people pay their debts, though? I mean, people aren't going to pay their debts if they don't have money to pay their debts with. These people are going into debt because they don't have the money to pay their bills. Like, this is kind of the opposite of true. I mean, unless you've got something in your logic that I'm missing. But to me, if you have less money, it's going to be harder to pay your debt. Okay, we can sustain a lot more. I don't know what do you mean we can sustain a lot more what? The oligarchs don't want us to be civil with each other, because then we know that there is a book called White Trash. I can't remember the rest of the title, but if you just look up White Trash on Amazon, and it's goes back through all the way through American history, including like from the even before we were a country, and how the initial oligarchs, for lack of a better word, like the people that were awarded land by royalty and came over here and they were the landowners. And then they'd have like indentured servants come over, or like, poor Irish people would come over. They weren't all indentured servants, some were. And then they'd pay off their servitude, and they'd go and they'd work on a piece, like the land grants were like huge land grants. And the people would come, and then they would work off their indentured servitude, and then they'd go to a different part, and they'd like carve out a farm for themselves, and they'd work their asses off to build this farm. And then this farm, they'd cultivate the land, they'd tear down the trees, they'd do all of this stuff to make this land farmable. And then the owner of the land, which, like, it would just be like, you own all this land between this, what do they call those? The lateral things on the earth, from this latitude to that latitude, you own that all the way back forever and in perpetuity. And so they would own that land, and then they'd wait until you put the work into making it something decent, and then they'd say, okay, bye. And they'd kick people off the land that they had worked to develop. And then they would use the labor that they had used to develop that land, and they turned that into their plantation. And, for tobacco or whatever, where they'd strip all the value out of the land, and then they just move on. And this was, they called them mud eaters and things like that, that they were the poor white people. And then they would always tell the poor white people, you could be a slave, and if we free the slaves, then they're going to do your job, and then where are you going to be? So we have a history going back through pre-colonial times, colonial times, through antebellum times, through the after the Civil War, where they've always used poor white people and fear of being even poorer, and pitting them against people of color. And always it's the rich people are telling the poor white people that the colored people are coming to get them. That is the history of our country. At least one very consistent theme in it. So if you go and I suggest this book. It's not a like a CRT book or whatever if you're afraid of that, but it's a really interesting, compelling narrative of our history. Wrong. Prices go down with mass deportation. Okay, that's prices don't go down with mass deportation. And I assume you're talking about housing prices. And anyway, there's just, this is one of those things where I say, please research. According to Wharton, I mean, maybe you know more than the Wharton's, business does, but according to Wharton, prices are going to go up with mass deportations. I take their word over Phoenix Rises 113. A lot of people will have to dig going through the process of being destitute and homeless, and suddenly foundations will crumble. There's what do they call those? I want to say automatic. Automatic stabilizers. That's the word I'm trying to look for. There's something called automatic stabilizers that were imposed after the Great Depression. Things like, and they weren't all like right then, but some of the things like Social Security were installed in the New Deal, and unemployment insurance, and later on Medicaid, and all of these things are the problem with what made things so bad in the Great Depression is there were no stabilizers. There was no safety net. There was nothing to catch people when they fail. And so then you had the stock market crash, and people forget about the Dirty Bowl, I think it was called. There was a huge drought throughout the Midwest. A lot of the farmers couldn't keep up their money anymore. So a lot of stuff happened, and a lot of people, it was like 30% unemployment rate. It was terrible. And there were no stabilizers. And one of the things that has kept us through previous recessions and kept us from going into that kind of thing is the stabilizers. One of the things that has me concerned lately is that the stabilizers are being undercut along with all of this stuff happening. And so we could have all of those things that would have normally been cushioned. There's no cushion anymore. False beef prices up. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Beef prices up. Unless you're talking to the person that was telling me that deportations make. I don't know if you're talking. Maybe you're talking to him. Hey, mask doesn't work. Why do you believe the treasonous Anthony Fauci? Why do you trust the science? Because masks do work. Anthony Fauci didn't commit treason. And Big Rick. Oh, that was subtle. If you have to lie about it, it's not true, Rick. Democrats have been wrong with everything when it comes to Trump economy. Okay. Can you name something they've been wrong about and establish what they've been? I mean, this is, again, I'm trying to have a substantive conversation, dude. This is not a substantive conversation. This is not substance. This is just sticking your fingers in your ears and yelling loud. Once a person can buy a house again, then we have a chance. I really do think we need to make people make housing affordable again. I think that should be the number one thing that we look into. I know Kamala Harris had some plans. I know some people have criticized some of the plans where, like, she wanted to give $50,000 to people that were buying first-time homes, and they said, well, that would just make the price of housing go up even more. And whether that's true or not, I'm not quite sure. But I think that another thing that she wanted to look at was right now. Okay, so for anybody that has not looked into this, I have looked into this. The number one problem with housing right now is it's not just about like the price of nice houses is going up. It's the price of entry level houses. And the number of entry level houses that are being bought up by people that are selling that are buying them as rentals. It's like 20% of new purchases of these kind of entry level homes are for rentals and not for new purchases. And that's dragging up, that's jacking up the prices of starter homes. It's not immigrants that don't have jobs and social security numbers and can't get loans and just somehow happen to have $250,000 to drop on the counter. No, that's not what's causing housing prices to go up. What's causing housing prices to go up is people that are buying these entry-level houses and then renting them, which only exacerbates the problem because then, as I was saying before, you don't have people able to build wealth. So they go on and they're just paying rent and they're just giving that money away. There's no wealth being built. So you're going to have like an entire generation that has no wealth because they're too busy paying rent. They're too busy paying their student loans because the amount of your lifetime earnings to get your college paid for has gone up like 400% since 1980. Like when people compare these things to like the 80s or even the early 90s, they're not accounting for the fact that things have changed. The world has changed. Our society has changed. And the relative expense of things has changed. So why, and it's why we need to like start looking at conversations beyond Trump or Biden and stop pretending the world started in 2017. Like, not all our problems started because of either one of those. And not all of our problems have to do with Democrat or Republican. Some of our problems have to do with Democrat and Republican. And not just that, some of them are just because Democrats and Republicans can't sit down in the same room and have a conversation to resolve real problems together. Okay, Beerb, I bet you were the one who said we need a good plague to. Okay. Phoenix, all right, we're just, you are wrong. The research, no, the research I'm looking at isn't wrong. What do you call something that grows indefinitely and without checks that growth? Cancer. That's a false equivalence. I mean, by that way, I mean, it's funny because somebody was just talking about trying to say, I bet you're one of those people that thinks that the world needs a plague or whatever, right? Well, can't you say that population has grown indefinitely and without checks? So is humanity a cancer? By your logic here, humanity itself is a cancer. I don't think it's a cancer. Do you think it's a cancer? Or do you think that maybe your assumption here is a flawed assumption? Okay, slowing the economy means more people out of work and more poverty. Yes, it does. That is traditionally what it means. I think that comparing anything to COVID is disingenuous. Osama Obama. Who's Osama Obama? Okay, that's just a weird thing to say. No slowing down the economy means people stop spending. Yeah, that's part of the economy being slowed, but are they stopping spending because why are they stopping spending? Are they not living in homes anymore? Are they not eating anymore? What are they not spending money on anymore? I mean, this is like really, really basic macroeconomics here. Yes, oligarchs have always been the problem. They eat at the root of the vast majority. And they would much rather have us squabbling here than trying to sit down and solve anything. You know, Elon Musk didn't solve a single problem. He didn't solve a single thing. Nothing got better because of him. Not one thing got better because of him. If you slow the economy down, people lose their jobs and stuff. Do you not get what you were talking about, Zach? See, so there we go. I agree with you on that one, Trumpster. I'm not saying that as an insult. That's your actual name. If you slow down the economy, people lose their jobs. And so let's not slow down the economy. We saw process go up because people felt the poor needed to be given more money and free things, services. I don't know what that means. I honestly have no idea what that means. I don't think you do either, in all honesty. What do you mean we saw what does process go up means? What process? It's not even like English. Okay, typical Democrats talking. Okay, so that's not helpful. No, a slow economy doesn't mean a dead economy, but look at California. They demanded $20 million minimum wage for restaurant employees. That's not exactly what happened. Like none of that is actually an accurate reflection of what happened. So like go and actually read the law and learn what you're talking about. You're repeating MAGA talking points without actually even learning. Look at what the California law says. Okay, there are plenty of jobs available. The jobs were fake corporate jobs. Where are these jobs? Because I would like one. What is a fake corporate job versus a real corporate job? Or, you know, like, and what does a job mean? Like, not everybody, if there's a job, like if there's a job milking cows in Wisconsin, can a 70-year-old woman in California get that job? The job is available, but it's kind of a long commute and she probably physically can't handle that job. So is she, you know, what is she going to do? There's not jobs available everywhere, and not every job everybody can do. And just like there are some jobs that some people are simply not qualified to do because they don't have the education, there are some jobs some people can't do because they don't have the physical capacity. So not every job is something everybody can do. And honestly, some of the minimum wage jobs are like I worked my butt off when I worked at McDonald's. I got home, my back was sore. I was 18 years old. I couldn't do that again. Yeah, I'm not gonna read. It's too weird, Phoenix. No, we did not see proof. Okay. All right. So, for example, meatpacking plant layoffs are not lost jobs because the supply and demand haven't changed. The people who are laid off could either start a business or work for a local. Okay, there's not meatpacking plant layoffs. There's meatpacking plants that they're looking for work. They're not laying people off. But undocumented workers aren't showing up for work, and they can't find people to replace them. And they can't, you know, that's the problem. Why? I don't know if it is $5 because your numbers are made up. Price of gas in California right now is $4.30. Price of gas in Tennessee is $2.50. So yes, the price of gas is more expensive in California for a whole bunch of reasons, and the price than it is in Tennessee. But I would also say the average wage in California is a lot higher than the average wage in Tennessee. And there's all kinds of stuff like this is one of those things where I'm like, please, let's have like an intellectually honest conversation instead of just yelling out random numbers as though they somehow mean something. And they're not even true. You want affordable house. Deporting undocumented migrants is not going to make houses more affordable. In fact, about 30% of the migrants that are 30% of the workforce in people that build new homes are undocumented workers. And so it actually will probably make the price of new homes go up. They're building more homes than they are living in. There's only so many undocumented workers that own homes. You know, most of them are renting in homes. And anyway, like, please do some research, Phoenix. Like, if you want to come at me, I'm fine with that. But could you do some research? Could you show yourself enough respect to do some research first? Because that's not true. I know that JD Vance said it's true. Do some research. Go on your AI of choice and ask it, is this true? And then have an actual conversation where it's just you and the AI and you just have facts to look at. I mean, have an open mind that maybe there's something in the world that Donald Trump is wrong about. Like maybe just one thing. And your goal is to find what he's wrong about. Yes, California is definitely a higher cost of living. And they also have a higher gas tax because they're trying to drive down the emissions. They're trying to drive down the emissions because they have parts of California that are almost unbreathable at times. Tennessee has the lowest earnings in the country. I'm not surprised. He's done as of today anyway after the latest data release. I assume most haven't heard what just occurred. He's already providing excuses that may have to down and host a TV show. I haven't heard. Brett, tell me what's going on. What data release? Is that an Epstein thing? You wouldn't know the all right. I can't read. This is a monetized program, so please, anything to do with swearing or fellatio or cunning linguists or anything like that, you could just tone it down in the comments because then I don't have to filter them. It's regulations causing prices to go up. Everything is more expensive because This is like just rhetoric, dude. Like you're saying things. An ARC breaker is $30 while a regular breaker is $5. And the NEC, you didn't even finish, is requiring all outlets to be an ARC breaker. Why? Like actually research that. Why is an ARC breaker $30 while a regular breaker is $5? What's the difference? What's going on? How have tariffs maybe affected that? What regulations are you talking about? Why do they have those regulations? Like sometimes regulations are there because regulations need to be there. Most of the time regulations are there, it's because regulations need to be there. Like something wasn't regulated and then people died and so then they started regulating it. I don't know. I'm not an electrician, so I don't know anything about breakers. But if I were you, I would go. I mean, maybe you're an electrician. Maybe you know. Or maybe somebody said something on Fox News and now you're just repeating it. It's funny. He reads comments that he don't like, won't say nothing at all. What a joke. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I read your comments. Most of the comments I read are the ones that disagree with me. Maybe just wait till he gets to it instead of crashing out prematurely. Sorry, I think this one's kind of delayed, so I don't know what what you're referencing, Brett. I wonder if the wizard believes in climate change. Climate change is real. It's not a Ponzi. I don't even know how it would be a Ponzi scheme. Like, that doesn't even make sense. I do know. If you want to know if climate change is real, I don't know where you live, if you've ever lived anywhere cold and you've like looked out a window on a cold day and then it feels like on your fingertips, you feel like a draft is coming in. That's actually not a draft coming in. That's the heat going out of your body and it's going to the cold. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. And it says that higher energy goes to lesser energy. And so the heat from your body is going towards the cold in the air because the molecular movement of the cold air is actually slower than the molecular movement of your hot hand. So what happens is that heat transfers from your hot hand to your cold hand or to the cold window. What's going on with climate change is that the climate is changing. The heat, the actual atmosphere is getting greenhouse gases, which is causing the heat to be retained. But it's not being retained at the same rate. Like the North Pole is heating faster than the equator. And so what happens is, like with your hand, the colder it gets outside, the greater the heat difference, the faster that heat would leave your hand. Which is why if it's like 65 degrees, you don't notice it as much. If it's 80 degrees, it's still colder outside than your hand, but you don't notice it at all. Well, probably because you're in AC. But anyway, you get my point. The greater the temperature difference, the faster that movement occurs. And so what happens now is you've got the temperature difference between the water up north and the water around the equator lessens. And there's a huge current. This is just one of the things. There's this huge current. The Atlantic, I can't remember, something current that flows from like South America up to Europe. And it brings a lot of warm water with it. And that warm water is why Europe is actually a lot warmer than, if you look at the latitudes, it's a lot warmer than North America by latitude. Like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like Rome and Montreal are basically on the same latitude, I think. And, like Madrid and Minneapolis or something. Like, I don't remember exactly, but if you ever look at a globe and you start following the lines, you'd be shocked if you've never thought about it, because you think like London and New York have kind of similar climates, but London is actually way north of New York. Why is that? It's because of this current that's transferring this heat. And as that current slows, it's changing the climate in Europe. And you've got other things like that it's also happening in the air, that it's changing actual air movement or wind and things like that. It's why we have more intense hurricanes. There's all kinds of things that are going on that are actual climate change. Climate change is not something that is going to happen. Climate change is something that is happening. The only question is how bad is it going to get? It's changing actual climate systems. It's changing monsoon seasons. It's changing climate harvest cycles. Like, it's having a huge impact on different places in the world. And especially it's happening in South America and below the equator, which is why you have so many people. One of the reasons you have so many people that are being forced to migrate. And those things are only going to get worse. Just saying it's a hoax and a Ponzi scheme is a lazy, cheap cop-out. Do some research, dude. Do some research. Learn something. I've got a whole bunch of videos on climate change on my channel. Go through and look at them. Learn something. I didn't know about it, so that's why I learned something about it. So Okay, specific lumber, that's not a thing. That's just a word. Specific AC code, specific any. You're just saying the word specific and shouting random words. And somehow this is why is lumber up, dude? Do you think lumber might be up because of tariffs? So David says he does think humanity is well, okay. And nature eventually will. That's okay. Then I guess nature will take care of it. The NEC regulations require garbage disposal to GFI protected. It is a motor. Every time it turns on, it will trip. I've never tripped a breaker on my garbage disposal. Shocking that you don't know what that means. Prices go up because more money is printed. No, that's not true. That is not true. That is not true. I know PhDs in macroeconomics, and they would laugh at that sentence. Well, robots have rights. No. It is the stress and uncertainty that makes people clam up financially. This puts the stress. Yes, and then, but that stress, Zach, when people clam up financially and they stop spending money, that means they stop going out to eat. And that means that the waiters and waitresses lose their job. That means the cooks lose their jobs. That means that the money that they're spending on supplies, the truck drivers lose their jobs. The harvesters lose their jobs. Everything starts to slow. Everything is connected. When people stop spending money and the economy slows, people start losing jobs. Then they have to get more into debt. It's slowing down the economy is never a way to solve the economy. It might be a good way to. It's not the same thing as like if you're trying to get your budget under control. So you're like, okay, I'm going to cut all my streaming bills. It's not the same thing as that. You have no idea what you were talking about. Maybe you should research the 20. Yeah, I know what you'd have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, why does it cost $5? First of all, we've already established it doesn't cost $5 a gallon for gasoline in California. It's $4.30 in California, and it's $2.50 in Tennessee. It is more expensive in California for a host of reasons. One, they have a higher tax on it. Two, they have a higher cost of living. And so everything is more expensive in California and Texas or in Tennessee, but they also have a higher paycheck. There's all kinds of reasons. Like why are you asking stupid questions rhetorically? Like, why don't you research that? Why don't you just go and you do some research on why is gas price higher in California instead of Tennessee? Instead of using that as a rebuttal of something, I don't even know what you're trying to rebut. Like, why do you keep asking that question? It's such a dumb question that you could answer yourself. I'd have no idea where that came from. A fake corporate job would be a job that is not essential for a company to operate. Who's doing that? You act like you are I'm not acting like I'm the only one with information. I'm more than happy to hear other information, but just empty rhetoric is not information. What is the point of having a job that doesn't pay enough to live on chat? Hey, Spice and Dice. Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see. That used to be a good pickup line of mine. Your number one heater is back. Hello, number one heater. Research and spell check. Oh, I mean, you start getting into spell check. That's a dream I want. I don't know if I'd want to wake up from. The average home price in the U.S. varies by source, but recent data shows it's hovering around $510,000 to $513,000. Yeah. Average is just in general, especially when it comes to the economy. Averages to me are kind of useless. I'm much more look into quintiles and medians. Look up the median housing price. Are you really saying California is better than? Tyson did, in fact, have a round of layoffs. It's insane that you say. I don't know what having a round of Tyson having a round of layoffs. What does that have to do with anything? Okay. Are you talking about recent? Tyson doesn't do beef, does it? It does chicken. So okay, but I think what's going on. I think this is a reference to the beef prices, and me saying that they're not laying off beef workers. If you have 1/3 of your workforce gone and you can't harvest and you can't butcher the beef anymore and the business goes under, all the documented workers that were there, they are going to lose their jobs too. Say Hinkle Finkel. Hi. Somebody's trying to get me to say something. Bro, you have no clue what you're talking about. Go to Los Angeles. There's not a place to rent or live because they occupy. Who is they? Do you just like walk up to random people and say, "Hey, are you illegal? Do you wait? How do you know who like what you mean brown people? You just see brown people and assume they're illegal? You assume that all the brown people own their own homes? And I like the way you say go to Los Angeles. Like apparently you don't live there, otherwise you would have said come to Los Angeles. So you're just making an assumption about another city and another group of people, and you're just saying stuff. Illegal aliens are sending millions of dollars back to their country. They're destroying. Yeah, okay, that's. This is all just debunked hogwash. There are studies by Wharton that show that the undocumented migrants that are working here are one doing a job. That means they're doing something productive that helps other people make money. Two, they're also spending money here. Even if they send money out, they're spending money here. Like they can't both be buying all the houses and sending all the money out of the country while they're lazily just soaking up government housing and government money. You guys want to have illegal immigrants doing nothing and everything at the same time, taking all of the money and then sending it all out. Like what is it? Pick a lane, choose a lane. But just do some research. All right. I would say you don't respect the American flag. Waving it around doesn't respect it. None of us pay the true market price for gas. If you remove the harmful subsidies, we'd be paying $8 more for a gallon. Yeah, if you ever live in Europe or anywhere else in the world, we pay the lowest price of gas. Well, not the lowest price of gas in the world. They charge less, like in the Middle East, but like in Europe, other industrialized nations like ours, it's a lot more expensive. So we got Hinkle Dinkle Doo saying a lot of I don't know why he wants me to say Hinkle Finkle Dinkle Doo. Okay. It's evil blue governors want the illegal aliens in the country. Illegal alien. You guys like to say illegal aliens a lot, don't you? Okay. Okay. Boy, Cool Cat sure is not very cool. She's pretty hot. Or he or whatever. I mean, hot, like hot, mad, not hot, hot. Uh, American patriot. You are not a true American. Patriots want the legal analysis. I don't know what the legal analysis to stay in the country and destroy our democracy, destroy our economy, and sending hundreds of dollars back to their country. Are you like Stephen Miller's burner account or something? Forget it, dude. They won't be changed by scientific facts. Facts have never meant anything to them. Kelly, Trump on Truth Social asked if he should step down and host a TV show instead. It is believed that he is aware of how bad things are going. That there would be kind of a nice loop to that. Would be maybe he's gonna make there's all the yelling about who's gonna be the inherit the MAGA throne. Maybe it'll be like MAGA Apprentice, and whoever can be the most vile, disgusting, racist human being gets to take over the flag. Maybe Matt Gaetz can come out and and have sex with a 16-year-old on camera or something. All right. It's kind of tough. Research grants for climate change is a scam. Yeah, it's not. Do you realize that the oil companies that put out these studies, they pay a lot more money than the research line? You act like people think research grants are. You ever met a doctoral student, a postdoctoral student? They are not a wealthy group of people, dude. Like, they live off of ramen. Trump is a pedophile and all of his supporters are the dumbest people possible. Oh my God, the economy is way overheated. The economy has to slow down, or inflation will continue to. I don't know what you mean by slow down. I honestly don't. What does slow down mean? Like, it doesn't. There's no way the economy slows down where people don't suffer. Illegal aliens cost taxpayers $350+ billion. No, they don't. It is illegal agents. Oh, illegal agents now. I guess he meant illegal aliens and all their money back home. Where's your evidence of this? Like, this seems to be like the talking point of the day. Did Stephen Miller go on a rant and say that today? Got him. You can't stay slowing down. Economy is bad when there are jobs. There aren't jobs available. That's why the unemployment rate's going up. Unemployment rate's 4.8%. And even that's a fake number. You go and you start looking behind it, and you've got, like, if you look at underemployment is going up, and so like you're counting these temporary jobs and these jobs like Uber or whatever, that like a lot of that number is right there. Like, people are working, but they're not employed so much as they're just trying to like not starve to death. So like there's not all these jobs available. I don't know if you've looked. I don't know what you do or if you've looked for a job lately. The job market is not like this. There's all these jobs and whatnot. There's a reason unemployment's going up. It literally isn't debunked. It's a major part of income. Oh, well, you said literally, and you've got a frowny face. So it must be true. Oh, 4% of Mexico's income is remittance. No, it's not. I'll check though. Okay. As long as I don't have anything planned here. I'm asking Claude, is 4% of Mexican income remittance from illegal immigrants working in America? He's thinking. Here, should I, sir? I can share my screen with you, so you know I'm not making this up. All right, share screen. I'll search the current day on Mexican remittance and the contribution from undocumented immigrants. Reconciling, blah, blah, blah. So we'll just wait until he's done. I'm open to being wrong. I doubt you're right, but I also kind of wonder what difference that makes. That doesn't mean that they haven't spent money in America. That doesn't mean that they're not doing productive work in America. Am I on the wrong? What? Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Your question is a bit unclear, so let me address what I think you're asking with the data. If you're asking whether remittance represents 4% of Mexico's GDP, yes, approximately remittance totaled $64.7 billion in 2024, equivalent to 4% of Mexico's GDP, though in 2024 this figure was calculated at 3.5%. If you're asking what percentage of the remittance comes from undocumented workers, that's a very different question. Based on the data of the 12.7 million migrants in the U.S., about 4.5 million are undocumented, 4.5 million are U.S. citizens, and 3.7 million are permanent residents or visa holders. Undocumented immigrants are more likely to send back remittance and remit a greater fraction of their earnings than documented counterparts. So while undocumented workers represent roughly 35% of American migrants, they likely contribute a disproportionately larger share of remittance than the percentage would probably suggest, probably 40 to 50% or more, not just 4%. So let's say it's 2% of that. So your number's already off, but let's say our undocumented Mexican workers, an asset or what's the opposite of an asset? Detriment to the U.S. economy. Sorry for my terrible typing right now. All right, so we'll ask it that question. We'll answer this question for you there, Mr. I don't want to call you that we'll call you official. We'll call you Mr. Official so that I don't have to swear. All right, so what does he say? Oh, whoops. Forgot to submit it. So while it's doing that, I'll go ahead and I'll go to some next comment. Are you a homosexual? No. And if I were, I wouldn't be ashamed of it, but I'm just not. Been married for 27 years. To a wife, $200 billion remittance has been sent out of the. We just looked that up and know that's apparently not true. And again, there's nothing wrong with somebody coming over here legally, making money and sending some of that back to their family. That's actually a big part of the reason people want to come over here. That doesn't mean that what they do here is negative on the American economy. Undocumented migrants paid a total of $96.7 billion federal, state, and local taxes in 2022, equivalent to $8,889 per person. This included $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes and $6.4 billion in Medicare taxes, programs for which they're ineligible for. GDP NCRAC, the Congressional Budget Office, found that immigrants will add $7 trillion to the economy over the next 10 years, with GDP growing by 8.7 trillion by 2033, federal taxes increasing by 1.2 trillion, and federal deficits decreasing by 900 billion. So that little 2% remittance that you're all concerned about is maybe, just maybe, not as big of a deal as you think it is. Sure, yeah. Where I think that I don't know what you. Yes, you're like just racists exist in England too. We're about to go Israel. We're about to give Israel 100 billion. So what's your point, Brian? Okay, well, that's a very yeah. I said they have higher taxes. I don't know why you're yelling at me about that. Okay. The US does subsidize gas. It does. Okay, let's go back to. Oh wait, we already finished that question. I don't like ISIS going up or innocent and good at hard working everyday people who come over here to try to make a good life for themselves. I think he's saying he doesn't like prices going up. Or innocent, good, hardworking people every day. I think that undocumented migrants are not immoral. I think that some of the laws about them are immoral. I think we need to change our immigration laws. And I don't think we just need to make it to accommodate them. We have a problem with, like, for instance, small farmers and small business owners that can't get our aging workforce to fill certain jobs that undocumented migrants are willing to accept. And migrants, historically, throughout the history of our country, have taken these what I call bottom rung jobs. Like, if you think of social progress as a ladder, the bottom rungs of the ladder have always been filled with migrants. Always. Whether it was the Irish and the Chinese building the railroads, whether it was the Italians building the skyscrapers in New York City, these bottom rung jobs have always been done by migrant workers. And now we're saying no more migrant workers all of a sudden. And no, the Italians didn't come over here speaking English. They came over here speaking Italian. And people complained about how they didn't speak Italian. And the people that came over here from Eastern Europe came over here speaking Eastern European languages and Yiddish. And people complained about how they didn't speak the language. The same complaints are throughout history. And throughout history, it's always been the people that have been complaining about, that have taken these bottom rung jobs and that have enabled America to keep growing. This is history. It's not CRT or something, you know, that you want to just throw letters at to make it go away. This is our actual history. We are a nation built on the backs of immigrants, built on the backs of slaves who, you know, I were forced immigrants that did the bottom rung jobs. Illegal aliens don't get. They don't. The care they get is emergency care, and that emergency care has been the case since the 80s, and Ronald Reagan's the one that actually signed that into law. And I remember when that happened. I'm 58, so you know I'm a child of the 80s, and there was like cases where American citizens would die outside of an emergency room because they didn't have an ID card on them. and they couldn't prove that they had insurance. And so they passed a law that said if somebody is dying and they're at the emergency room, you have to at least provide stabilizing care for them. And so undocumented migrants do get that. All they get. It's like just you have to save their life if they're dying care. Actually, if you cross the border without permission, it's a civil offense, not a crime. But why is it that some crimes you're cool with and other crimes you're not? I don't get that. Why is this the single crime that gets MAGA so upset? Like, you know, they voted for an adjudicated rapist. That was a civil offense, but you voted for him. But this civil offense, you get all worked up about. They walked over an imaginary line, and even like the not everybody that's here illegally crossed the border illegally. Do you know that? Not everybody that's over here illegally crossed the border without permission. Like, what if somebody crossed the border with permission, and then after they were here for 5 months, somebody took that permission away? Does that make them illegal? They didn't break any crime. They didn't break any laws. They didn't commit a crime. Anyway, I'm assuming I or somebody else said something funny. I don't know what it would have been. They don't. So this guy's still stuck on gas. Of course, I'm way behind in the comments here. So I thought, I don't think that's what happened. Are there, I think that I'll look at it, but my guess is that they're not saying Trump has to invoke the Insurrection Act. I think they're saying that this cannot happen unless he invokes the Insurrection Act. That's my guess. This Supreme Court, you never know. But I don't think they're telling him to impose the Insurrection Act. There has to actually be an insurrection in order to endorse the Insurrection Act. But by the way, this is something I'm really curious about. Like, why is it that the same people that say that the Second Amendment is there to protect our rights to have an insurrection, like cheer and holler about the National Guard going to be put down these peaceful protests because they're insurrections? Do you believe in insurrections or not? Do you believe that there's a right to insurrect or not? Do you believe that the Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment there in order to protect our rights to insurrect or not? Would you be okay if instead of just peacefully protesting ICE agents, they literally just started shooting them and then claiming their Second Amendment rights? Would you feel better about that? Because you're taking both of those positions at the same time without any cognition that those things conflict. Of course, that's like that with a lot of MAGA. Yeah, I mean, I've never really, like, I haven't ever researched this. He says the U.S. government subsidizes the oil. I got to remember, some people actually download my podcast, and so they're listening to it and they're not seeing the screen. The U.S. government heavily subsidizes the oil, gas, and coal subsidies through tax breaks, credits, and other support, amounting to billions annually, though estimates vary with some reports. So that sounds like a search result of some kind. And I think that's true. I mean, I've just lived in other countries where gas prices are like way higher, and that was 35 years ago. I imagine it's gotten worse. Okay. I did look it up. Like, literally right here, you watched me look it up, and it's not true. Why does Europe have higher gas prices than the US? Yes. Because the US government subsidizes it. In order to send troops into Chicago, Kavanaugh, in his dissent. So you know what the word dissent means, right? Could cause the president to use the military more than the National Guard. So that's dissent. So the Supreme Court told him no, I'm assuming. I haven't seen the decision. I have no idea, but I'm assuming the Supreme Court told Trump he can't use the National Guard. And then in his dissent, Kavanaugh's like saying, well, this could just cause him to declare the Insurrection Act and use the actual military. Which, if he were to do that, that would be a whole new case. Like, Kavanaugh's not saying that this is a viable alternative. He's saying that this could happen. There would have to be a insurrection. But I'd really love to hear your input on, are you okay with insurrections, or do you not believe that the Second Amendment is there to protect them? And which of those is true? Because they go hand in hand. You can't say that the Second Amendment is there to protect us from a tyrannical government, but only when I think it's tyrannical. If I'm actually agreeing with the tyrannical government, then it's insurrection. But when I disagree with it, it's revolution. No. I actually don't know where you're getting that I said anything like that. But I didn't talk about I don't know what you're thinking I said that implies that. I think the unemployment rate has had the same issue. I said that the unemployment rate is being weirdified by AI employment, and that happened under Biden and that happened under Trump. And it has to do with, one, the birth death rates of new businesses are like way high because you just got all these businesses that are coming and going. But it also has to do with their hiring all these people to train the AI. And these are like 3-month jobs or 2-month jobs that are wonking out the unemployment rate. Which is why both under Biden and Trump, you've had like these $1 million or million job reductions. Actually, could you please just use the word for undocumented? I hate seeing illegals as a noun. I don't see why people insist on using slurs. Like, just be a person, be a human. It's not that hard. But I think undocumented people, it has been proven, actually are a net benefit to the economy. I am saying they are a net positive, yes. And I mean economically. And it's not just me, it's places like the Wharton School of Business and every major macroeconomic study. Other than, like the stupid little congressional report that was done by MAGAs. You go and you look at, look up the information. And I actually literally did this online. I showed you the actual numbers. Like, during this conversation, I shared my screen and I proved it. Okay. Okay, so he's talking about slowing down. Slowing down means slowing down consumer spending. Yes, it hurts consumers. No, it hurts employees. And it doesn't hurt the companies who. Okay, so if somebody stops spending money at Amazon, all right, and so then the Amazon store goes under and they lose that money, do you think that Jeff Bezos cares about that? Or do you think that the person that was struggling to make a $40,000 a year income cares about that? I'm good, cheesy Chris. Okay. It's odd that you say unemployment is a problem on one hand and beef prices, because the people that can work in the beef factory are not necessarily the people that don't have jobs. Like, the 65-year-old man in Florida can't come to Texas and do, that has a back problem can't come and do work in a meatpacking plant in Texas. Like, there's distance, there's how does he get here? Where are the jobs located? Can they actually do that job? It's not just here's a number and here's a number and we can pack this number into this number. It's not that malleable. It's who can do what jobs. And what's happening is we have an aging workforce that's aging out. All right. And so you have a lot of the people that are unemployed are older people. And a lot of the jobs that are available are like what you would call young person jobs. They're backbreaking labor. They're hard physical labor. I don't know how old you are, Zach. I'm 58. I cannot do the same things that I could do when I was 21. I eat healthy. I'm a reasonable weight for my age and size. I'm in body fat's like about 20, 21%. I eat all natural food. I make my own bread. I grind my own flour. Like, I eat healthier than most people, but I can't go do a meatpacking job. I have one lung. And if I get COVID again, I'll probably die. So I can't just go and just do any job. I'm not a young person, though. I was once. And there was a time when I could go do any job. But I can't do that anymore. So it's not as simple as there's a meatpacking job plant. The reason they're hiring undocumented workers to do those jobs is because they can't fill those jobs with documented people or with citizens. Yes, we already went through this. Some of that remittance is legal. I mean, and there's nothing wrong. Like, some of that remittance is from people that are working here legally. And it's like, why is this all of a sudden the talking point? So what? That does not mean that they don't like, this is not a talking point that works unless you have a therefore. Like, how does that mean something bad to the United States? Look at the rest of the money. Does that mean they're not working here? Does that mean that meatpacking plant, they didn't butcher that cow? And that the farmer did not make money off of that cow? Does that mean that those strawberries didn't get picked and that farmer didn't make money off of those strawberries? Them sending back a portion of their pay to their families does not mean that they didn't have value. It's a dumb talking point. And I've already addressed it. I don't know why everybody keeps wanting to jump on this. Fairly shortly, there will probably only be one. This is another thing. There will only be one type of each food in food stores. By 50 choices of peanut butter, etc., you get one Trump peanut butter. Yuck. I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, there's a consolidation of, I think, 4 or 5 companies now control like 80% of the processed foods in the country, which is one reason. I mean, like, I stopped eating super processed foods for my health. But, like, you look at, like Pepsi and Coca-Cola and stuff, and a big chunk of our food is being, there's a word for it, and I can't think of it, but this kind of consolidation. And there's like a measure of it. I'd have to remind myself what it is. Because currency leaving our economy is bad. No, it's not. What about currency coming into our economy? Like, you're not. This is such a lazy way of thinking. So what? They pay sales taxes on a stick of gum. But I thought they were buying all the houses. White liberals are allergic to work. Oh, yes. Yeah. No, liberals don't work. Republicans work hard. Yes. Okay. That's not really an honest talking point. I'm assuming I'm wrong, but I'm not. I literally showed you. I sat here and I read to you that you are wrong. I am not assuming you are wrong. I established you are wrong. I read it right here in this chat to you on this screen right here. I proved it. All right. It's not an assumption. It's proof. Go away. So no, I'm not. Huh. I did. Did this come before? I don't know how far behind. Maybe some of these stupid comments were before I. All right, maybe I need to get caught up. All right, I'm just going to jump down. Sorry if I missed any important. I'm jumping down to the bottom so I'm not so far behind anymore. Trump said MAGA lacks real skills. He plans on bringing in huge amounts of Chinese nationals to move your MAGA neighborhood soon enough. I wonder where Skippy went. I wonder how he feels about that, because he thinks I'm all pro CCCP. Illegal means crime. Crime is illegal. No, illegal. Do you know that there's something called a criminal offense and there's something called a civil offense? And if you commit a criminal offense, then you committed a crime. If you committed a civil offense, then you committed a misdemeanor. If you speed, you broke a law, right? And you did something illegal. That does not make you a criminal. If you jaywalk, you're not a criminal. If you commit a civil offense or a misdemeanor, you're not a criminal. Illegal doesn't mean crime. Crime means crime. It means that an entirely different thing. And here's the thing: if it were a crime, then that would change what due process means for them. And that would mean that they would be able to get a lawyer and a full jury trial before they could be deported. That's why it's a civil offense and not a crime. So it's actually easier to deport them that way. So if you're going to use words and parse, learn what your words mean. Otherwise, you end up just looking stupid. Rent isn't going down unless you're being facetious. I hope you're being facetious. I've never met a hardworking liberal. Okay. He thinks that $67 billion is a small number. I have no idea what you're talking about. Lazy libtard whites. Okay. Most immigrants are not going to stay here. They collect enough to pay off the cartel for helping them cross, and then they keep as much money as possible to go home, so they are well off. I'm just curious how you came by this knowledge. Did you sit down with a group of them and they all confided in you? Did you see it on a movie? Like, how do you know that? Like, I'd love how there are people that never engage outside of their little trailer park bubble that know everything about everybody. They know all the libtards are lazy. They know all the immigrants are brought over here by cartels, that they're just why they decided to be brought over here by a cartel so they could pay off the cartel and go back. No matter that doesn't even make any sense. That's what you and your cousin, family, spouse, and everybody said in your little trailer park gathering where I had your little fire and roasted, raccoon meat together. Why do hate Trump? Why do you hate Trump? He runs the country like a business. He runs the country like he runs his businesses. He bankrupted a casino and he's driven $1 trillion more into debt. I don't know. And a country is not a business. I don't want my president running my country like a business any more than I want him driving a car like a business. Donald Trump is your hope and change president. Ouch. Now, BLM bootlicker, LGBTQ lapdog. My cat is deciding that he's going to claw my hand off because he needs to eat. Hey, foreign MAGA trolls, your countries are bleep holes. Is it cheaper to deport illegals than to keep them? No. It's for emphasis, Brett. Trump is bringing in millions of immigrants. You should get out more. John Doe, whoever. So illegals bring currency to the U.S. You're literally no. I'm saying they bring value to the U.S. I'm saying that they actually have a positive economic impact on the U.S. I'm saying that they generate money with their labor. That's the whole point of labor, dude. The whole point of labor. Nobody's giving you a job because they want you to earn your money so that you can feel good. People give people money because work needs to be done, tasks need to be accomplished so that then they can do something with that thing that you accomplished and they can make money. The whole idea of labor, like the entire economies depend on labor. Labor has value. Labor is currency. Their currency is labor. They bring labor. Like you can't call them like you can't ignore that they're workers. Like the undocumented worker part of that is worker. That means that there's value in the work. That's why they're getting paid. Do you get this? I know you're a MAGA and I know that you're just attuned to shutting out everything that is not broadcast on Fox News. But yes, undocumented workers, through the fact that they're doing work, bring value to the economy. Crump is a PDF file child sex trafficker. Preach. Thank you. Hi, I'm illegal. Okay. The economy sucks. It does. Deport MAGA and save America. Do you live in a red state? Because it seems like those are the states most MAGAs are collecting welfare. It is a fact that okay, here's if you're talking about SNAP benefits, like there's welfare isn't really a thing anymore, but if you're talking about SNAP benefits, here are the facts. If you live the per capita, the red states are more likely, people in red states are more likely to be on Medicare than people in blue states. And then people in rural communities are more likely to be on Medicare and food stamps than people in urban communities. I mean, people in rural communities are more likely to be on food stamps or Medicare than people in urban communities. And then even more, the most likely people to be on food stamps are MAGA farmers. Sorry, those are the numbers. Go try and walk into Russia or Germany. Tell me how it goes. Nobody is talking about walking in. Do you think, honestly, dude, do you think that during Biden they didn't have people stopping people from just walking into America? Do you think that in Germany they don't have asylum seekers? Do you think that in Germany they don't have refugees? Like, you're just weirdly wrong about this. Like, your entire, like, you got this gotcha, and both sides of the gotcha are completely out of bounds with reality. No, it doesn't. They will throw your sorry ass out instantly. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Voting for a pandering, sniveling bootlicker lapdog to preside over invasion of your own nation is a crime against your homeland. Bootlicker. Okay. Did you vote for Trump? I didn't. You don't need a court case to report an illegal immigrant. No. What does that have to do with anything? So with that logic, I could steal as long as it's under $1,000. No, if you stole under $1,000, it would still be a civil offense. I think. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the state. I think it depends on the state. But that now I think you're talking about the difference between a felony and a misdemeanor, not the difference between a crime and a civil offense. Great, illegal is a crime. No, it's not. I don't know how I'm just going to keep ignoring that from now on because I've addressed it enough times. Trump has stolen $1 trillion since he's been. I think it's more like 4 billion that he's made off of it. Is it criminal to come through the border illegally? No. Well, the second time it is. The second time it's a criminal offense. It's not a civil offense. Yes, it is. The first time it is. This guy is a bleepy bleep. It's a misdemeanor crime for the first offense. And he's tried civilly. And okay, I don't know who you are or what you think you. The first time that you cross, it is a civil offense. If a crime, anyway. Diversity is our greatest strength. Well, that's going to trigger a lot of MAGAs. It's impossible to teach a MAGA real information. The same reason Bill Clinton is, I don't know what that has to do with anything. So probably somebody. Did you see Bill Clinton's response to Bush or to Trump releasing the pictures of him? He's like, go ahead, release everything you have about me. Then release everything they have about you. The just for the record, the picture. And I will 100% say if Clinton raped any kids, send them to prison forever. I don't care. I have no emotions wrapped up in him. I don't wear a hat with his name on my head. I didn't tattoo his name on my face. I didn't paint his name on my car. I my identity and my entire value as a human being is not invested in Bill Clinton the way these MAGAs are with Donald Trump. Absolutely send him to prison if he raped anybody. But for the record, those pictures, including the one in the hot tub, were all in public places in Africa where he said he went with Epstein. So there's nothing new there, you know. Apartment prices are going down. I don't. How do you get that? You're like nobody thinks this. Here, we'll go back to Claude here and ask him what he thinks. We can put this to our apartment prices all right, so we're just asking Claude what he thinks. Maybe I should just rename this pod Ask Claude, and then we can do this the whole time. Call it the Claude Pod. I'll search for current data on. So, all right. So I'm a liar that's upset that Trump policies are not working. So by that, if housing prices aren't, while we wait for Claude to come up with the answer, will you acknowledge then that if apartment prices are not going down, that Trump's policies are not working, and that you're upset with me and calling me names because they are? Okay, yes, rental prices are declining slightly at the national level, but the picture varies significantly by region, is more nuanced than simple up or down. I'm imagining it's going to go into the K-shaped economy. The national median rent fell 1% in November to $1,367, marking the fourth consecutive month-over-month decline. Rent prices nationally are down 1.1% compared to 1 year ago, and the national median. Of course, now that I'm thinking about it, this is rental prices, not home prices. I didn't say anything about apartment rental prices. Why are you asking about apartment rentals? Why prices are soft? Supply surge. The multi-family vacancy rate remains at 7.2% a month, a record high as well. Regional variation is extreme. Austin has seen the sharpest decline among larger metro areas, has fallen 6.8% in the last 12 months. That's down more than 20% from February to 2025. So up in the Northeast, it's still going up. Providence has climbed 27%. So construction starts are declining, which is bad. So why are they going down? I'm assuming that you're thinking it's because of mass deportations, which would make sense. But we weren't talking about rental prices. We were talking about housing prices. I'm talking about buying houses. And I'm saying that part of the reason I'm saying that housing prices are going up, not being affected by migrants, is because they're not buying houses, they're renting them. So it's feasible that them leaving rentals is going to temporarily drive apartment houses down. But once those fill up and then new homes aren't being built, they're going to start going up again. No, the timing doesn't match up at all. Okay, so it's not the case. The rental prices decline started over 2 years ago, before the deportation campaign began. From my earlier search, the national median rate has fallen from its 2022 peak by a total of 5.2%, and a year-over-year rent growth has been slightly negative for over 2 full years. What's actually causing the decline, the real driver, is oversupply. A heavy supply of new units are still hitting. Is this because all the homes are being bought for rental? So there's new immigrants aren't coming to take up new homes. But that's not necessarily legal or illegal immigrants. That's just immigrants. Okay. I have no idea if anybody, I'm probably, anyway, don't know what anybody's saying about any what I'm saying. But it seems like there's a nuanced thing here that's an interesting thing to look up into. And I think I'll look at it some more. But it doesn't seem like it's a Biden or Trump thing, which is part of what I've been trying to say this whole show. If we could stop looking at everything as just one of two extremes. Not everything is Trump bad, Biden good, and not everything is Biden bad, Trump good. Some things act independently, and some things we should be able to look at as just what they are. Not every, one of the things that's really got me annoyed about our current situation is that everything has to align together. Your feelings on racism have to match up with your feelings on capital gains taxes. Things that are disparate have to be connected. And so it's a relief every once in a while when I see somebody like Rand Paul, where I agree with something he said, even though I disagree with a lot of what he says. I think we need more of that. I think we need more of being able to agree with the content of what somebody said rather than the hat they're wearing. Okay. So the real driver is oversupply of rentals. I think that gets to the important part. But I don't, and it doesn't have anything to do with Trump's policies. But I looked at it honestly, and there you go. Illegal immigration falls under a hybrid. That's really like almost statistically impossible to bankrupt a casino. But there are some people that say that he bought it in order to bankrupt it. And he actually ended up, to be fair in a way, he actually managed to do some accounting trickery that he ended up making money out of it, but it's Weinstein that did the accounting trickery and just kind of ended up, some of that stuff turned out to not necessarily be legal. But anyway, Trump made some money off of it, but not because of him, but because he had good accountants. Maybe he pays his accountants. Maybe they're the only ones he pays. Let's hear your thought about Biden. What about, okay, I didn't vote for Hunter Biden, and I'm like, I don't know why people obsess over Hunter Biden. It doesn't seem like Donald Trump Jr. has steered clear of the white powder himself. I think Joe Biden was I think he got a lot done. If we're just looking at the actual policies he passed and the actual things he's done, he did. I think he got a lot done, and his administration helped. I do wish that he had more press conferences and been out front more. I don't think he should have run for a second term. I think he should have announced a lot earlier, and we could have had a real primary. But I think the way everything went, it was also, we were in a no-win situation at a certain point. And I also think that on October 7th, what happened on October 7th kind of had him damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And there was no way he could win on that, because he was either going to lose some of the Jewish vote, or he was going to lose some of the, I don't want to say the Palestinian vote, but he was going to lose some of the vote from the left. And there was nothing he could do about it. So I think what he should have done is just done what was right, which would be to make it conditional. Like, I've had time to think about this. Oh, come on. You eat raccoons. You know it. You have a little raccoon burger right now. LMAO, I love it when idiots like you insult people and act like there's no possible way someone could actually know what is going on around the world. LOL. Okay. I mean, I love it when idiots like you insult people. Like, I know you would never insult anybody and call them an idiot. Oh, a single cat lady. MAGA is the only bootlickers in America. You have old man estrogen brain. You stopped producing the testosterone, and now you practically have brain of a woman. Explain why you're so concerned about the well-being of strangers. What a weird thing to say. You must identify as a female. Yep. You won the argument when they start just throwing out transgender rhetoric. Trump is doing a job that should have been done years ago, MAGA. I don't know what job he's doing. Hang on a second.
All right, broadcasting now.
Oh, whoops. Trying to get my wife to feed the cat. He's like all up in my business and clawing me up. Trump has beaten the lowest approval rating president for having the lowest approval rating, his contender himself. He is not the most popular president in history right now. I think, what is it, down to 35, 36%? Yeah, I have a cat. You are just a warmonger and a cult member. I don't know who you're referring to. Your cat, haha. The only thing that can make you more gay would be a... Okay. Weird. Illegal immigrants. I don't know that, like, the anti-cat rhetoric. Illegal immigrants, 90% of them are. Okay, how do they buy all our houses while they're on welfare when they can't even legally qualify for welfare? It's such I call it Schrodinger's immigrant. Like, the way you guys pretend that they are both taking all our jobs and then be all on welfare. Trump is sex trafficking and raping children in America. I don't know if that's true. Oh, my wife is gone. There are 1,200 victims of Epstein, Clinton, Democrat celebrity. No, there aren't. I mean, I will say this. Anybody who molested children and raped children should be in jail. Not everybody that went to Epstein Island is a rapist, and not everybody who raped children with Epstein went to Epstein Island. They're two different groups. Yes, a lot of nasty crap happened on Epstein Island. But like, for instance, Stephen Hawking went there because Epstein had a submarine and Epstein had never been in a submarine. And so he brought him there to go down on this physics conference. I don't think that Epstein or that Hawking was like raping little girls while he was there, considering he physically can't. There were some actual legitimate technology and things like that, and some actual legitimate philanthropic endeavors that Epstein had, largely in part to create this illusion of himself. I'm not saying everything he did actually meant that he was, like had good people's good interest in heart, but not everybody involved with him did something illegal. Okay, number one. Number two, Bill Clinton did a lot of, Donald Trump did a lot of crap with Jeffrey Epstein, and we know that. And I will say anybody that raped children deserves to go to jail. I will also say, let the evidence speak. Like, don't make suppositions. And I say this about both Trump and Clinton. And what's his name? The Harvard dude and all of these other people. Nobody should go to jail unless it's proven that they rape children. So like, everybody should just hold off and stop making it a political thing and make it about the poor women that were raped when they were little girls. Like, it's just stop. The fact that you have started insulting people and talk about them living. Okay, I don't have anything against people living in a trailer park. Why are you insulting people that live in trailer parks? I mean, the very fine people live in trailer parks. More workers, more tax money. And that's true too. Good God, never mind. Keep huffing the paint thinner. Call you modern day liberalism. We ain't going nowhere. And by the way, Merry Christmas from the trailer park, you jerk. Well, I've got to tell you, that was an intellectual, insightful, very well parsed argument. And I apologize for ever thinking that you are not the intellectual giant that you are, because nobody else could have composed that sentence. They are stealing our money. They are here legally. They do not generate anything. They don't send any home. Okay, wait. Okay. Then how are they buying all our houses? How to say I'm an idiot without saying an idiot? Well, vote for Trump. Trump is raping America like he does his own children. I don't know if I'd go that far. You think all those Somalis are generating money or stealing? I don't think all the Somalis are anything. It's funny how you guys get all irate when I make a generalized statement about MAGAs living in trailer parks, but you sit there and you insult an entire country. They're being given money. They're not laboring. Okay. Who's giving them this money? So now how are they taking our jobs if they're not working? Like, I don't understand how there can be taking their jobs and not working at the same time. Winch is it? Pick a lane. Trump's dumb right. 7 billion net worth. 10 years on TV. Built things in New York. He didn't build anything in New York. He put his name on things other people built. His $7 million in net worth. He didn't do anything. He just, what's the word I'm looking for? Grifted. He doesn't have, and even if he has $7 billion in net worth, it's all in like these things like his cyber currency or his meme stock. They literally pay billions in taxes every year. Undocumented migrants pay in a bleep ton of cash they will never have access to later in life. I mean, this is just a fact. No, they can't. And like calling me the R word doesn't make you a better person. They don't have the jobs, raccoon eater. They don't have the jobs. They just have $500 a night hotels and 30. Yes. In New York City for a couple of months, due to a New York City law, they were in some hotels. We need diversity. We do. Do you think that they're getting $3,600 a month in Texas? Why are you people so stupid? Another overly apologetic bootlicker of the fake, oppressed, illegal invader of foreign collusion voting bloc used to subvert the will of citizens. Actually, okay, that probably sounded better in the original Russian. Listen, there are so many Americans in my country, it feels like another American state. I don't know what country you're in. What country are you in? I know there are expats, American expats in other countries. Fine, you send money over there. Okay. TDS, you mean tyrannical, deranged democratic syndicate, right? I don't know what that is. We do not have all-time high unemployment. 4.8%, what is it, 4.6%? But I think that's kind of inaccurate. I think it's higher than 4.6%. Just like I think it was higher than 4.0% when Biden was president. The underemployment numbers are really scary. If anybody ever like wants to look at them instead of just yelling things at me. MAGA maggots. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Yes, and when illegals are taking the jobs that Americans could do, then they say, oh, look, all the out of people work. But, okay, Todd, are you, okay, can we get a consensus here? Are illegals taking our jobs or are they just not working? Because it seems like they're not working while they're taking our jobs. Immigrants are America. They are. You cannot. And I actually went and I studied. You'd look at sitcoms. Sitcoms were like Lucille Ball. Her parents were in vaudeville, and vaudeville was brought to us by Ireland and Irish immigration. That's where vaudeville comes from, and then out of that came sitcoms. And so a lot of the TV that you watch today is inspired by immigrants. You watch the Broadway plays, a lot of Broadway plays and musicals and stuff like that came from Jewish immigrants and Eastern European immigrants. All of the music we listen to, or at least most of it, from R&B to jazz to blues to rock and roll to heavy metal, was all rooted in what do they call that? A specific talkback or something like that. All can go back to African roots. And the music that they would enjoy while they were literally picking cotton. There is so much of our culture. There's almost, look at our food. Go to DoorDash and you've got all the Chinese food, right? You've got all the Mexican food. You've got all the Italian food and the pizza and everything like that. But even if you're like, no, what about hamburgers and hot dogs? Hamburgers and hot dogs came over here from Germany. Well, at least are motivated from Germany. Talk about apple pie came from England and Dutch. Like almost all of the only food that we eat, I mean, corn kind of is interesting. It had an interesting journey. And tomatoes had an interesting journey. Movies were inspired by like the Jews. It's that, by Jewish immigrants. You look at our infrastructure that was built by Italians, built by the Irish, built by the Chinese, built by the Mexicans. Our entire history. There is not one thing in American history that is not directly tied to an immigration movement. We are immigrants. And so then you see people saying, oh, well, I'm fine with immigration. I'm just not fine with illegal immigration. But the kind of immigration that built America is no longer legal. And that is why I say it's not about whether somebody is here legally or illegally. It's what is legal and illegal. We need to change the laws. We need immigration reform. Anybody who does not agree that the problem with immigration right now is the system has not looked seriously at the problem. Because I know there are people on the right and people on the left that have looked at it seriously. And I don't care if you have an R, a D, an I, a G, an L for libertarian. I don't care what letter is attached to your name. Every single person that looks at this seriously will tell you the issue is with our immigration laws. Do you get that bringing in 20 million more bodies? No, I don't get that. And there's also, nobody's bringing in 20 million more bodies. Like, stop using fake numbers and stop using words like bringing in as though like we're sending out trains and bringing in trains full of people. But I do know that 20 more million bodies would mean 20 more million people working. I know that 20 more million people working would mean that the 20 million more things are getting done, and that those things getting done means more things being sold, more things being bought, more houses being built, more food being cooked. And that means more food being sold and more houses being sold. Yes, the more people there are, the more the economy grows. It is as yoked in a law into macroeconomics that exists. Labor is an essential part of any economy. Tell me what you know. Tell me that you don't know how SNAP benefits. I know how SNAP benefits work. I like how all the illegals are getting all this. But illegals aren't illegals. They aren't getting all this free stuff and have nicer clothes. Do you just like see somebody brown that has nicer clothes than you and assume they're illegal and that they got it for free? I bet you also wonder why people think you're racist. Do you have like a magic radar detector that's like, oh, that goes off and you know that people are illegal? How do you know they're illegal? You see a nice shirt and go, oh, that's an illegal. And yet you are still ranting about something out of your control. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't support white collar, period. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good buddy movie, like with a different kind of idea of a buddy movie or buddy show. We know that you want cheap. No, actually, that's again like why I want immigration reform. This is what people don't understand. All right. First of all, it's not slave labor. They're still getting paid. They're here voluntarily. They can go wherever they want. Calling it slave labor is actually just a slur to get around having a real conversation about it. If you want to talk about, is it cheaper labor? It is marginally cheaper, which is why we need immigration reform. The problem is from the other side, from the farmer side, for instance, is that there's and this is one of the problems with talking with MAGA about immigration law, and they don't know anything about it. All right, so you have H-1A and H-2A visas, which are two different kinds of temporary visas. One is seasonal and the other is not seasonal or agricultural. In order for a farmer to bring over a worker, they can only bring him over for a season. And in order to do that, first they have to advertise for 30 days and make sure no Americans fill that job. And then after 30 days, they can advertise in, like different areas and get people to apply for a job. Then after they apply for that job, then they can apply for the visa, which, by the way, the farmer has to get the visa approved before they apply for the job, right? So then once the farmer gets approved for the visa, the immigrant has to get approved for the visa. Then the farmer has to pay for that immigrant to come over. And while the immigrant is over here, he has to pay for all his food and lodging while he's here, as well as pay him the going rate for a domestic worker. So it actually ends up costing him more by a lot than it would cost him for a domestic worker, because he has to pay for all that other stuff, plus pay him the going rate for the domestic worker. And most of these farmers, they're clearing like somewhere around 50 to 70,000 a year if they're making any money at all. A lot of them are like just barely operating on profit and are operating on they're barely making their investment back. Tariffs sure aren't helping. And they need, like, if you're making $50,000 a year, it ends up costing them about $7,000 more per worker per season. So if you have 2 seasons in the year and you're making $50,000 a year, and all of a sudden you need 10 workers twice a year, that's going to cost you an extra $140,000. More than what you're paying right now. More than if you just paid for an undocumented worker. So you can go bankrupt in 1 year, or you can hire undocumented workers. Okay. We have lost 500,000 private farms since 1980, and it's getting worse as corporate farms are buying up more and more of the farms. Right now, we could lose another 400,000 farms by the year 2030. And this will only because of the mass deportation. So please, again, I don't care about the slave labor or whatever. I care also about the MAGA farmers. I actually don't want them to lose their farm. And I get yelled at by liberals because I point this out. Like, I don't want MAGAs losing their farms. And mass deportation is going to cost them their farms. Do you care about the farmers, the small farmers? Or does just your knee-jerk hostile hatred of illegals make you such a vile person that even Trump supporters should lose their jobs and lose their livelihoods because, brown people? BlackRock is one word. And I don't know what you're bringing BlackRock up for. If you don't think people are worth having a conversation with because of their political view, I don't think people are I'm like literally saying the opposite. I am saying, can you have a conversation? I'm not saying, I would love to. What I am saying is have a conversation, an actual conversation, instead of just yelling things like "you're an idiot" without an apostrophe, or just yelling things that aren't true, or just saying that's not true, or whatever. Like, have a fact-based, reality-based conversation. Saying Fauci is a traitor is not having a conversation. It's like having MAGA Tourette's. It's just yelling stupid things. This is what I end up feeling like. Like, this is, I would love to have a real conversation, because I feel like if we can, as a society, have a real conversation, we can talk about things like immigration, where we get past, you know, the things like what I was just talking about, where it's just like, I can be concerned both about the migrant worker and the farmer. And I feel like there's a way that if we addressed immigration reform to where it was profitable for the farmer and feasible for the farmer, and there's, good reasons to do that. Like, if the immigrants that they employed could stay year after year, that would mean that they could continue, they could build a life there, they could get better at their jobs, they could grow in their jobs, they could end up maybe having their own farms or having their own businesses. Immigrants actually start business at a higher rate than Americans, second generation immigrants, I'm sorry. How do I say this? Children of immigrants are more likely to start their own business than children of natural-born Americans. I didn't say anything about reparations. I don't know if you're talking to me. Whites and East Asians are the only two ethnicities. What a weird thing to say. Yes, my name is Kelly, and I own a cat, but I am a he. Was named after a Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Do you think that somehow makes him less masculine? It's so weird that like people would make fun of people's names as though they decided what they were, that somehow it says something about them. Yeah, and you should be sued for defamation, because I don't know what defamation I should be sued for and what I lied about. Why does MAGA always crash out and insult in chat like a diva? Because the alternative is substance and they don't have any. Like, I beg for it. I beg for a substantive. Somebody said one thing that I was like, well, maybe there's something there. And I literally went and live Googled it and got an answer. And it was partly right. And I talked about it. Like, I would love to have conversations like that where somebody could say something that has substance, and I could actually look it up, and we could actually come to like at least learn something together. But when I just see things like "you're a libtard," I can't Google that. I can't Google, "oh, he has a cat." And they are all concentrated in the libtard parts of the state, with, like the apostrophe in parts for some reason. You are much more likely for government assistance if you, I don't know where that comes from. Keep brown people out of my white country. Simple as that. Okay. You need to learn to shut the bleep up when you have no idea. Okay. See, none of these things are substantive. Gas is down about, I don't know, a dime nationwide. No, I mean, like, if you're looking at actual apples to apples comparison, gas is slightly down, but it's down because crude oil is down. It doesn't have anything at all to do with Trump. It's just down. And it was, it has to do with crude oil. It has to do with OPEC is producing more oil. That's the reason gas is down. Nobody's ever tried to come for your guns at all. Then over right now, 197 over here, still over. Okay, I don't know what the rest of that mumbo jumbo is. I think he's trying to say it's $1.97 where he's at, and it's over $70 in the communist countries of California. Why do you think that people walk in here, people fly in here? Yes, there are definitely a significant portion of people that come through the airport, and like there's a number of migrants that overstay their visas and they're here illegally because of that. But those are mostly white people. It's interesting if you look at, like ICE statistics and arrest rates, the percentage of people that are arrested by ICE is significantly more people of color than people that are here illegally. Like there's more people of color here illegally than white people. I'm not saying there's not, but it's like 30%, and like 95% of the people that ICE arrests are brown. 20 million people didn't. That is a made up fake number. If you want to come here legally and work, yes, let's make it so that if you want to come here legally and work, you can. The problem is that for 98% of the people of color in the world, there is literally no way for that to happen. There is no legal way for most people. Do you think they didn't have a border patrol? Do you know, like they talk about there were like all these record apprehensions under Biden. What do you think an apprehension means? It means they were apprehended. That means they were stopped and they were turned back. Joe Biden actually had a higher deportation rate than Donald Trump did in either this term or the last term. People don't know how to read, especially MAGAs. You get your little insulated talking points from your little chat rooms and your little discords and your little, whatevers they are. And you go into your little communities and you sit there and you relay bad information to each other and you go, oh, I didn't know that. And it's like, because it's not true, but who cares? It's, it means brown people are bad. So I'll just keep repeating it. They don't have as many as we do. I don't know who is they and what, I don't have any idea. You don't have to brain cells to rub together. I can tell it's in your eyes. You might as well stop. Yeah, see, that was like a really, at least, well, if we got to capitalize the U, there's no period after together. I can tell it in your eyes, period. You might as well stop while you're behind. I give you credit. You did spell "you're" right. Meet me face to face. Oh, yes. Threat of physical violence. Brett, I see you, princess. MAGA's just saying. It's just really devolved into. I was hoping for like one MAGA that had enough integrity to actually have a real conversation. One person, who I forget who it was, whoever came up with the 4% almost true number, at least you get some credit. Everybody else is just going into like crazy stuff, like Germany is going to shit like the rest of the woke EU. I am from Germany. I have Germany certainly never produced any racists. Elon Musk is a big hero among the racists in Germany. If you are living by a white social status, because Y is not a race, it has no country. It's a social status that you have. Any country to live, to pick from, you don't have a homeland. I'm not trying to decipher this. saying white is not a race and it has no country, but it is a. There he is. That's my cat. That's Smokey Bear. I'm sorry, buddy. Daddy's doing a podcast right now. Yes. Can I move you out of the way, little buddy? Okay. I'm sorry. All right. Well, that was an interesting thing. I'm sorry, buddy. I can't, or I cannot figure out what you're trying to say there. Kind of, yeah. I mean, I wish it wasn't that way, but right now the alternative is, vote fascist. I thought Republicans hated big government. This is the most overreach of our government. It's not big government when they do it. Then it's just, like owning the libs. Is it okay with this Sodom and Gomorrah Remembrance Pride Parade loser for you to steal? As long as... No, it's not okay to steal. But you know what? I bet you watched Les Miserables and thought that guy's stealing bread. He's a criminal. See, typical Nazi tactic. Demon and dehumanize. See, typical Nazi tactic. Don't know who's doing that other than, I don't know. Are you talking about MAGAs dehumanizing immigrants? Oh, yeah, like you don't know the answer to that. Paint his name on a car. MAGA and liberals are gay. Who would want to? All right. There's a whole lot of weird in this world. And it seems to have coalesced on this podcast. One side wants real accountability, MAGA doesn't. Orange Daddy is good to them, rich people apologists. Wake up, MAGA. It's us 99% against the top 1%. Can I just ask everybody that's a Trump supporter to do you know what a steel man is? To steel man your argument? If I say, can you steel man your argument? Would you know? Do you know what that means? It means give me your best argument for Trump. Like what? But make it fact based. Make it the hardest argument to actually refute. That it's kind of the opposite of a straw man. A straw man is like when you erect an artificial argument that's easier to defute, and you do that. Steel man your argument. Present to me your best, most logical argument, responding to the question, Donald Trump is a good president because, and then tell me what Trump has actually done, not something that happened while he was president, but something that Trump has done to reach that name. And then what I want you to do is say what he's done and then how the thing he did actually made America better. Like for somebody that, is supposed to be the greatest president of all time, this should not be a hard thing to do. What legislation did he pass? What saying, well, he closed the border is not a steel man argument. That's a rhetorical nonsense. The border was already closed. He didn't really close it. He just stopped enforcing asylum laws. And it didn't really do anything to make it better. Show me how it made it better. Like, actually give me a real, actual argument. If you can. I would love to hear one. I would love to respond to one. If you can give me a real steel man argument, I will devote the entire show to it tomorrow. Oh, look, this guy, I believe you, Joe. Do you believe that cruelty and ICE and rounded up undocumented immigrants will continue? I hope not. I don't think it would. There is a sort of a sad history of Democrats inheriting crappy thing Republicans do and then complaining about them until they become president and then continuing them. Although not to this level. Like Joe Biden did return the separated children. Trying to tell you a lot of the danger we are in. Nobody should ever worship a rich man seeking more power. Worship no man. He is corrupt. He's effing us all over. Yeah. I'm just telling you. All these Christians, they don't seem to read the Bible. Satan took Jesus to the temple, right? Showed him all the world and said, this can all be yours. Who do you think is the one that controls all the wealth in the world? It's not God. If Satan could give it all to Jesus, doesn't that mean that Satan had it to give? So, if you're a Christian, you should consider that. Consider that Jesus said you cannot worship God and mammon both. What's the difference between worshiping mammon and capitalism? Think about it. I mean, just think about it. I know you don't like to think, but dude, think about it. National median prices means down in Republican states up in. No, that's not what median means. And I don't know. Or wait, are you national median prices? I don't. Are you trying to say that prices, like national median prices, are down in Republican states and national median prices are up in Democratic states? Do you have anything to prove that? Do you have anything I can look at? Like even just it'd be interesting to look at. I somehow doubt that's true because I don't think it would even be tracked by that. Okay. This is, how many times did you say, let's go, Brandon? And illegal crossing the border. We're back to this one. Okay. I'm going to see if anybody accepted my challenge. I know. I love how you condescending ask if certain people know what a steelman argument is. Then proceed. No, it's the correct information. So you don't have one. You don't have one. You just have an incorrect correction. Do you have an actual real argument for Trump, dude? Trump is the farthest from Christianity that a man can be. How can a rapist and a pedophile be a Christian? You know he's not a Christian. I spent 15 years as a pastor. I read the New Testament over 100 times. Read the Old Testament several times. I read, like most of the works of the church fathers. I've read a lot of other books besides. I read a lot in my life. And no, there's nothing in there about that would make me think that Donald Trump is a Christian. Okay. Why? Why is he the best? Trump is the best president in 7 years. Yeah. Why? Compare him to Eisenhower. Compare him to Johnson, Kennedy. List his accomplishments and then list Johnson's accomplishments. And explain to me, point by point, why he is a better president than LBJ or Ronald Reagan, if you want a Republican. Or Bush, either one of them. Yes, he has. I mean, I've seen him do it. He absolutely has tried to sell himself as a Christian. Okay, then tell me what I'm denying. What? Go ahead, dude. Go. The estimated number of undocumented immigrants in the U.S. is 11 million, and this number has been stable for a lot of years. It's actually because of self-deportations and mass deportations. That number has actually started to go down. It's actually more like maybe 9 or 10 million now. I think what happens is people confused asylum seeker with illegal immigrants. There were 4 million asylum seekers that were granted either asylum seekers or refugees that were granted asylum or refugee status under Joe Biden. And that's because there's laws that if somebody requests asylum, you have to let them request asylum. So what Joe Biden did is he actually honored the law and followed the law. But Donald Trump just decided that the laws don't matter. So, I guess if you break the law, you're a criminal, unless you're Donald Trump. Trump is not a rapist, he's an adjudicated rapist. And he is not a Christian by any sense. If I said steelman your own argument. Just give me your best argument. Vance is his little pet on a leash. Vance is so weird. Vance is not stupid. He did graduate from Yale. But he's I wonder what his relationship is with Donald Trump Jr. Because they both think that they're the heir apparent to the grift. Trump is categorically the worst U.S. president ever. All historians agree. It's not even worth arguing. There's a lot to be said about that. I would just offer one correction and say he is the 2 worst presidents in history. I think 47 is even worse than 45. You are a crybaby. That's not a steelman. That's not a great argument. Funny how he never. There aren't any hard questions. What hard question? I'm looking for the hard questions. Or there. I'm like this. I'm looking for anything at all that is cogent. How long have they been president? Who? I don't support things the Bible are against. Or if you're talking about being trans or being gay, Bible doesn't say stop people from being gay or being trans. And even those passages that you're referring to really have nothing really to do with the Bible and are not really relevant to the underlying message of the Bible. Which, I don't want to go into a big tangent here, but theologically they're not issues to me. How do illegal immigrants affect anyone in this life personally? The same way that transgender people have affected them. It's more the idea that scares them than anything. They aren't affected. The only way that they've been affected is when they needed somebody to come fix their roof. They did. I would put Trump with Bush and Hoover in the worst president, but Hoover sucks. Get it? Hoover sucked. I knew a girl that she was getting into. She graduated from college and her first job was with Hoover, and she was writing commercials and stuff. and I told her she should pitch the ad campaign Hoover sucks. She didn't think it was funny. But I'm me. I'm MPK. You guys voted for a sex addict golf course developer. Isn't it weird? Like I think that sometimes we forget about how he had his ex-wife buried on one of his golf courses and then forgot about her. Like the mother of 3 of his children. And her grave was just getting overgrown with wild grass. Like that's such a weird thing. Like there's some stuff about him that is so insane and weird and crazy that you would just think this should be impossible. Like this is too like he forgot about his ex-wife he had buried on his golf course is not a thing that would make it past any movie script if you were trying to come up with how just nuts a person could be. I'm a brainwashed person that the Democrats have bamboozled. Well, that's an interesting spelling. Okay, LBJ and the CIA had Kennedy killed just like the Democrats are trying to do to Trump. Okay, can you say conspiracy theory? None of the other recent presidents have been any better of a man than he is, though. What? Okay, let's look at Barack Obama had one wife his entire life. He has 2 children. He's never been alleged to have an affair with with her. As far as nobody's ever said he has. Donald Trump cheated on his first wife with his second wife. He cheated on his second wife with his third wife. He cheated on his third wife with a porn star while she was nursing his 4th son, our 3rd son that we know about. And then he paid her off to stay quiet about it illegally, got convicted of 34 felonies. Doing so, he tried to overthrow the country. He stole classified documents, and he stole government documents that weren't classified. He's been convicted of fraud. His business was convicted of fraud. His child was convicted of fraud. But sure, he's a good man. Go back to watching your evening. I am your evening program, buddy. I am your evening program. Food is down. No, it's not. 20 million. We're just shouting random numbers. Gas is down. What a joke. Again, it's down 15 cents, 10, 15 cents. And it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Gas is down because OPEC Plus started producing more crude oil. That's it. It has nothing to do with Trump. These people won't admit they got brainwashed. I hope you mean the MAGA people. He's the best president because he was building a ballroom there. Why does a person with no balls need such a big ballroom? Gas is down because of the season. Seasonally, yes, but even year over year, it's down. But mostly the reason gas prices are down is because OPEC Plus started producing more oil, and that has to do with there's a bunch of reasons why. Some of it has to do with the war in Ukraine. Like, not everything has to do with America. I know we are set to believe, we've been trained to believe that every single thing is a direct result of whatever the current president is or the past president. So every good thing now every good thing is because of Trump, and every bad thing is because of Biden. If a dog gets hit or a cat gets hit by an electric car, it's Biden's fault. I do. If I know something and you don't know something because you heard something that's not true, does not mean I don't know a thing. It means you don't know a thing. I've looked at it. I've studied it. You have not, apparently. Either that or you just read that stupid House of Representatives report that has all kinds of easily debunked nonsense in it. This guy's still wanting to go with the Steelman argument. I don't care what you want to call it, dude. Just give me your best argument. No, Justin, this clan member won't answer a question. What question do you want me to answer? So it's like I get all these insults. I'm looking through, like I see like 100 insults. I can't get through an actual question through all the insults. And then I get to these people saying, oh, well, he won't answer a question. I'm clicking on as many as I can. There are no actual questions, just a lot of dumb insults. Each winter, the price of gas diminished. Yes, but even year over year. So like last December, gas was about 10 or 15 cents higher than it is now. But again, nothing to do with Donald Trump. Oh, well, I got to remember that. Or have a conversation. I want to have a conversation. I'm not a Christian either. Okay. Just because you request something doesn't mean it should be approved. I don't even know what you're talking about. Who said that anything should be approved just because I requested it? Don't lose it because you can't acknowledge the left are gross and evil too. Okay. I haven't really lost anything. The law states that you should seek asylum. No, that's not what the law says. Have you read the law? I've read the law. I've read the law. Have you read the law? Because that's not what the law says. The law says literally that you have to be here in order to request it. And you know what happened? Is people like you kept saying this. So Joe Biden made a way that you could request asylum before you came over here. The law says, the actual law says that within a year or two of being here, you have to, at a port of entry, declare yourself and request asylum. But you have to be here. You have to be physically present in the country in order to request asylum. There's no legal way for you to request asylum without being in the country. But Joe Biden tried to make it so that people could fill out an application before they came here, find a sponsor, get a preliminary check, and then pay for themselves to come over here on a plane while they would wait for their asylum hearing. And they would formally request asylum once they got here. And the MAGAs tried to make it sound, and I'm including the ones in Congress, tried to make it sound like Joe Biden was secretly trying to sneak people in. And on the government dole, they paid for themselves to come over here. So first of all, if you're going to tell me that I don't know what the law is, better damn well make sure you know what the law is, because you don't and I do. Secondly, you're wrong. Yeah, Trump's a pedo, but so was Biden and Clinton and probably Bush Jr. and Obama too. Okay. Do you know what a slippery slope fallacy is? What's your view on people speaking tongues in church without an interpreter? You want my real opinion on this? I think most speaking in tongues is fake. I think it's anyway. It's there's a principle in the Bible that God respects your will. He will never force you to do anything against your will. It's like the most governing principle in the Bible that God has. It's the one thing he gave us that is like the entire point is will, right? So he will never violate our will. If he were to like take over our bodies in some way and we speak in tongues against our will, then that would be a violation of that. I think they booked your mom. My mom is dead. I do not want a civil war. The fake protester is a Klan member. I don't know what that means. You sound like a liberal man with no balls, not worth talking to. Okay. Oh, God. His record stuck or what? I don't know what that means. Loser? Okay. What was the evidence presented that Trump should be liable for SA? The evidence was like, did you pay attention? The evidence was literally a receipt. It was a literal receipt. They didn't just have the receipts. They had the receipt. The receipt that they sent the payment to Stormy Daniels, that Michael Cohen sent it. They literally had the receipt. And on that receipt, they wrote out the plan of how he would be reimbursed. Then on that receipt, the literal actual receipt, all three of them signed it. Weinstein signed it, Cohen signed it, and Trump signed it. That is literally the receipt, like not at all metaphorically, an actual receipt. They had the receipt with the plan and with the signatures. No, it's not a kangaroo court. It's the same court that every other person in New York goes through. Vance is a fake hill. He is a fake hillbilly. And I think his grandma set his grandpa on fire or something. Look up Radon Sprinkle 46 was illegitimate, and they are proving it. So it's not worth arguing about, but I'm not sure what it is. Oh, bleep off. Okay. Trump, President Jesus Christ is God. Merry Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas because I'm a Christian. Christmas is not a Christian holiday. I'm tired of both sides of these, acting like they are moral or give a crap. But I'm tired of this too. I really wish we could have real conversations about real issues like immigration and get past all the your side, my side stuff and actually talk about the real problems and how we can actually solve them. Okay. Just answer me this before I start to agree with you. There's Democrats in those files too, right? I said, okay, anybody that's in the files that is shown to have raped girls should be in prison. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I don't care if it's Republican. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Clinton. I don't care if it's Biden. That said, Biden, first of all, most of what was released under Biden. Secondly, some of the stuff, most of the stuff that wasn't released couldn't be released under Biden because the Maxwell appeal was still being heard. So all the stuff connected to the Maxwell appeal could not be heard. Number three, why wasn't it released under Trump's first administration after Epstein died? Like, you can what about all this stuff? I think everything should be released. I think that we should stop talking about it in terms of Clinton or Biden or Trump. And I think we should start talking about it and getting justice for the victims. I am so tired of this, all from the left making it about Trump and from the right making it about Clinton. I don't care who it's about. These women were raped when they were girls and they deserve justice. And that is the start and end of it. And anything else, this is one of those things that I cannot fathom why this is not a nonpartisan issue. I think everybody in that file should go to prison, period. Everybody that's in that file that is shown to have raped women should go to prison, period. End of story, full stop. I don't care who they are. Does that answer your question? I hope that answers your question. James Buchanan and Andrew Johnson were both worse than Trump. I don't know. Andrew Johnson was once considered the worst, but I'm not sure he was anymore. And I definitely think that Trump is, like, you could have argued 45 was like the second worst, but 47 is taking things to a new level. Like this new stupid battleship. Like he's like a little boy with, do you remember the Richie Rich cartoons? He's like Reggie what was his name? Reggie Reginald or whatever, the other rich kid. I can just imagine him like sitting there with a battleships going pew 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 pew. I get you with my laser. Pew 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 pew. He's like a little boy, and he's the president of the United States. The Bible does say homosexuality is a sin. I mean, yes, maybe. It says it like there's like a handful of times it's mentioned in the word. I would just say it's not the theme of the Bible. And number two, if you think it's a sin, the Bible does not tell you anywhere to stop other people from doing it. Like, even if you want to say it says it's a sin, it says don't do it. So don't do it. The Bible, if anything is clear in the New Testament, it's that Jesus condemned only one type of person, and that was the type of person that was worried more about whether or not somebody else sinned than whether or not they sinned. He condemned the Pharisees, he condemned the Sadducees, he condemned the people with the long phylactites and all of that kind of stuff. He condemned people that condemned people. He forgave the sinners, he loved the sinners, he talked to the sinners, he ate with the sinners. He never condemned a gay person. He condemned people that went around condemning other people. The Bible says for a man to lay with. All right, so we've kind of asked that. But the central theme of the Bible is that we are sinners and that only Jesus Christ living in us can make us live a life that matches God's. The man, he became a man to live the life of God on the earth so that by inhabiting us through the Spirit, we could live a life that matches his life. It has nothing whatsoever to do with whether or not a person is gay or whether or not somebody goes around condemning gays. It's about what kind of life are you living by the inner anointing, by the speaking of Jesus in your life. How do you treat people? What do you give your money to? What do you give your life to? What do you give your time to? It has nothing to do with worrying about how other people live their lives. This kind of mega church, and I'm saying mega, not MAGA, it's pseudo Christianity. It has nothing to do with the Bible. Yeah, see, that has nothing to do with here or there. Lots of I mean, are there libtards on a liberal podcast? Dude is not live. I don't know how far I am behind, dude. I'm trying to keep up. I'm 17 minutes behind. All right, so let me go down. It's like, I've got to admit, this is like kind of a crazy chat. It's hard to keep up with this many. I don't go to a mega church. I'm a Catholic. So is Joe Biden. But you know, I'm not a Catholic either. My view is that the church is the Christians. All the Christians in the world are the church, and the church is all the Christians in the world. And I don't care if you're a Protestant or a Catholic or a Presbyterian or whatever. Okay. Christmas isn't in the Bible. I mean, it's really not. You go and find the verse there, and even there's like, I can't remember exactly what it says, but somebody says, "Blessed are you through the, blessed is your womb, as the womb that bore you," right? And Jesus kind of pushes back against that and says, "No, blessed is the person who believes in me," or something. I can't remember the verse offhand, but there's something. Even the idea of commemorating his birth, he distanced himself from. Like, he said, no, don't do that. And so what happened is in the 3rd century, I think it was, there was Constantine that basically he became a Christian. And so he started paying people to become Christians. he started just like marching his army into the ocean and saying, "You're all Christians now." And so a lot of stuff from other cultures started being incorporated in the church. And that's where we get Christmas. That's where we get Easter. There's a book called The Two Babylons. It was written in like the 1800s, but look it up. You can still get it. It's called The Two Babylons, and it talks about where a lot of these Christian holidays that we get come from. What do you think about this? People driving past Tim Waltz's house. I don't know anything about it. I don't know why they're. I mean, I'm not saying that to dismiss you. I honestly, this question is the first time I've heard anything about it. Okay. Why do I have blue hair? No, I don't have blue hair. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole, but that's not, I mean, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. Jesus was probably born in like September or October. This is what has adapted around the winter solstice festivals. I mean, I'm just talking historical. Check out the book, Two Babylons. I don't want this to become like a theological discussion. So, you know, like I'm trying to answer your question honestly, but not trying to steer the entire podcast in a direction nobody wants. Also bought eggs $2.49 for a dozen. Okay. So now it's like weird. I'm a pedo because I have a pet cat. Oh yeah. All right. So all right, this guy is pointing out the weirdness of it. Yeah, apparently I became a pedo and I'm also named Kelly. So now I'm a transgender pedo cat owner or something. Was wax philosophical about Christian today. I spent 15 years as a youth minister, man. I'm not waxing philosophical. I actually do have some understanding of the Bible. Christmas was just a way to integrate pagan holidays. Yes. And it was because of this kind of mass incorporation of people who aren't really Christian. I mean, you'd go out and you tell people, look, I'll give you a week's labor if you say you're a Christian. And then people say, oh, okay, I'm a Christian. You know? See, there's my cat. That proves I'm a pedophile. And that's his second cameo of the day. It is not in the Bible. I'd say it's kind of a, anyway, I don't want to get into a theological discussion, but it's certainly not in the Bible. And he wasn't born on December 25th. And nowhere in the Bible does it say to celebrate his incarnation. If you support Trump, you aren't. Well, that's a weird twist. That's certainly not in the Bible. I think the whole thing with Trump naming a battleship after himself is really stupid and egotistical. I do too. Thank you. I think you're a Trump supporter that actually can say something wrong with Trump, which is something a lot of Trump supporters can't seem to do. The whole battleship thing itself is just like it's such a archaic to like World War II concept of warfare. I was born in 1967. You're a part of the old guard that needs to stop talking. Your generation has already ruined this country. Stop making it worse. Okay. I don't know what I personally did to make it worse, and I didn't realize that freedom of speech aged out. Okay, I love Obama and Trump. This dude, how do people get that I'm a pedophile? Like, what makes me a pedophile? And he's wasting millions of dollars to build these unnecessary battleships. I don't know if they'll ever actually get built. Maybe one of them. And it's actually, I think each one is like $5 billion or $50 billion. Some obscene amount of money. But what does he care? It's not his money. I do know what a modern battleship is, apparently. They're not what he wants. It's a name. Who cares? I don't care if he names it the USS Sister Moon. The name doesn't matter as long as it can rule the seas. But it can't. I mean, the whole notion of these like massive battleships is like, look at Ukraine, you know? I mean, if you can take the surface seacraft is not the future of warfare. He would probably call it just Trump. He wouldn't even call it the United States of Trump. He would just say the entire country is one state now, and he is the governor, mayor, and president. He's trying to get a question why you're supporting Trump. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be honest about it. Thank you. You're a Democrat. That's why you're a pedophile. Okay. I think that for some reason, people equate like transgender people having a right to exist with having sex with children. You know, maybe because like somehow in their minds they're connecting like they both involve sexual organs. But if you can't think of kids without having sex with them, then you're the pedophile. Think of all the people with debt. We could help out with the $5 billion instead of building. And I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I was talking about right now we have, I'm not sure, but I know we have more credit card debt than we've ever had in the history of our country. Credit card debt is going up. We have record number of people that are missing their monthly payment on their credit cards. And then we've got these like the payday loans and all of those kinds of things, got those at record highs. So it's like while the GDP is high and consumption hasn't hit it yet, hasn't been lowering yet, it's because people are living on their credit. This is all my opinion. LOL. I don't know what is it. Sorry, I can't really. Oh, okay. I guess it's your opinion that I'm a pedo. I don't know where you get that opinion. Better to build the ships than give money to. Gee, if only there were more than one option. Yes, I am Gen X. Who is doing better as president? But I believe Biden was a much better president. Like I said, I was named after a the only person to ever win the Congressional Medal of Honor from two different services. MAGAs can't use pedo as an insult because they would. How do you? Yeah, it's like the guy that's doing everything he can to protect Epstein and hang out with him. What's up, my fellow freaks of nature? Oh, Rainbow. Hey, you're back. Who's ready to watch people get offended because they use their political beliefs as a personality? I know I am. All right. I think we're starting to get to where there's at least a couple of people maybe that I disagree with that are open to having an actual conversation, which would be really cool. No, they all just they all assert, just like Donald Trump. They tell you what they're really guilty of and speak about it constantly. And yes, the Republicans are pedophiles. I'm sorry. I don't think we should be like calling any group of people pedophiles. Pedophiles are a pretty disgusting thing. And I'd say that, I mean, probably going to get hammered for this. But I was a victim of a pedophile. I was sexually molested when I was 10. And um I was staying I went to a friend's house, or and I didn't know anything. And this was 1981 maybe. And anyway, the guy violated me. I never told my dad. My dad's Sicilian. He's got a temper like Serpico. He's what he kind of reminded me of. If I had told him, he would have ended up spending the rest of his life in jail for murder. So I never said anything. It was, and I'm not just saying this now. If you Google my name and if you Google Kelly Scaletta and Sandusky, I wrote an article about this in Bleacher Report like 20 years ago or 15 years ago when the whole Sandusky thing was happening. But anyway, I am a victim of pedophilia, and I get really, really tired of being called a pedophile. So please don't do that. Realize that people have actual feelings and are actual people. And just throwing around words and insults like that is hateful. And especially if you're going to call yourself a Christian, please behave like a Christian. Because, like to call somebody a pedophile when they're not is vile. We should not use money to pay people's debt. 90%. This is a very weird, like 95. Okay, so let's say you're starving to death. You don't have any food, and you have 3 kids. And you have a credit card. And you can either put food on your credit card or your children can die. Is there a choice? You say most Americans don't know how to live modest, but you talk about other people and most Americans with just judgment. You have no basis in fact. You have no basis to make this evaluation of other people. You don't know who you're talking about. You don't know what sacrifices they make. Stop making assertions about other people. It just makes you a bad person. Hey, Mary? Hang on, I'm going to try to. My wife's back. I'm going to see if she can get the cat. Okay. Hopefully she'll come get him. All right. He's a good cat. You would rather help. Don't think that there's a choice, buddy. I don't think we have to choose. I would rather help American farmers than deport people because they're here illegally. You would rather hurt people that are here illegally than help Americans, because that's the choice. Choice isn't between helping illegals and hurting Americans. The choice is between helping Americans and hurting illegals. You can either help Americans or hurt illegals, but you would rather hurt illegals than help Americans. I don't know who is talking about paying off people's debt here. That's just, nobody is talking about that. I don't know where you got that. I am talking about people are going in debt and how that's indicative of what's happening with our economy. I'm trying to help. I would want to see an economy where it's not. Do you know what a K-shaped economy is? Or a K-shaped recovery? It means that the like the letter K, and it means that there, for some people, the recovery is going really well, and for other people, the recovery is going really badly. And the current economy, the top 20% is really doing better. The bottom 80% is doing worse. All I'm saying is let's stop making it worse for the bottom 80%. Not everything has to be partisan. Not everything has to be, MAGA good, Dems bad. It's pretty hard to starve to, apparently you don't understand what hypothetical framing is. Do you think that people aren't going without medical care? Do you not know that people are literally skipping meals? Like, come on, think. Do some research. Learn. It's not that hard. Okay. I don't know what circular logic I used. There. Okay. I don't think he is the best of two horrible options. I think that Kamala Harris was a much better option than him. I think she was light years better than him. I think that saying that there was the whole lesser Kamala Harris was not perfect, but she would have been good. Put the fries in the bag. You're a diesel mechanic. Good for you. Mass migration only hurts the lower class. No, it doesn't. Okay. We're not talking about student loan debt here. I'm talking about credit card debt. I'm unable to find a full-time job. I'm living poor AF. I'm living off of what little I made by selling candy bars and somehow paying off my room that costs $200 a week. And this is like real. People really are struggling. It's not they're making things up. But somehow MAGA can know exactly what's going on in every single person's life. People talking about food banks work in inadequacies of people. Yet I find the same people who support this devices policies fit the criteria of what they hate. And you know what's funny is it's like these people are like, they don't want their government to pay for them. They're like, that's what charity is for. And then you ask them, what charity do you give to? The same people that complain about drag people reading to children in libraries. I just asked them, when's the last time you read to children in libraries? Like, how about you do something instead of complain? How about you help people instead of just complain about them being helped? And they're the ones that are just like, they always have Jesus in their bio. If I was in the position and had no money for food, yes, I would most likely turn to credit cards. We've done this before and gone through bankruptcy. Thank you. All right. It's so hard for everyone to learn because they're so inundated with a bunch of BS. Y'all can thank Obama for that. Well, that's a take. I am so pissed with Florida. They covered up the Pulse shooting memorial. Yeah. Some of this stuff is just, they're trying to make it so that it's not that they're trying to make it so that like gay and lesbians and people of color don't have extra benefits. They're trying to make it so they don't exist, so that their history never existed at all. When they literally have streets named after Republicans. When you've got Donald Trump literally naming a building after himself. Right. And I mean, so you got people that are living in their cars and neglecting their health, no health care. And how many people are not going to have health care in like a week and a day, or 2 days? What is it? We've got 8 days left before the ACA things expire. How many? We're going to have millions of people lose their insurance in a week and a day. I'm sure that I have people disagree with me all the time. I'm used to it. And people that like people don't understand about food stamps, and like you don't get that much money from food stamps, and it's not money, it's like a card that you can go and buy food with. And yes, there are there are ways to scam around it, but there's also like people will say, "Oh, why have gun laws? People are just going to get around them." And it's like, okay, then let's do away with guns. No, 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 we can't have that. It's like you can break any other thing, like, oh, the laws. Anyway, I can't. MAGA inconsistency is so hard to deal with. Agree. Bottom 80% worse. What happens when in 2020 pandemic assets should have been allowed to fall toward middle class instead. Fed pumped in inflation to save. I don't know what all that means. So I didn't say illegal immigration is bad. I think we need immigration reform. I think illegal immigration as a crisis is overrated. I think we need to reform our immigration laws so that they adapt more to what the country needs. And I think Kamala Harris had some ideas in that regard that would have gone in that direction. I don't think it was sufficient. If I could rewrite the immigration laws, they would definitely be very different than what they are. And they would start with actually giving people a pathway to citizenship and a pathway to get here. All the way, actually, yeah, I won't say what it is. Okay, enjoy your day at work there, Mike Soprano. I like the name. I don't know if there was an actual soprano named Soprano, but Miss Migration does not hurt the lower class. It helps the upper class by paying. No, it helps everybody. It really does. A lot of lower class jobs end up getting generated because of mass migration. There is an initiative, and this is what I'm saying, is that there is, at these base level jobs, there is a deflationary aspect of that with illegal immigration. But if you legalize it, then you can annul that wage difference. You can make it so that it's not under the table, and so that it and it has to be taken care of. And I think that most of the farmers and stuff, most of the people that are paying undocumented workers are not like these big corporate giants. Most of the people are farmers trying to struggle to make a living. And they're like mostly good, decent, honest, hardworking folk that just simply cannot afford to pay the extra $7,000 per worker that it would cost them to bring over a legal immigrant. That's not unillegal, but a legal immigrant. They just can't afford it. They would literally not be able to survive one season doing it. So let's make it affordable for the private farmer, the small farmer, to be able to pay labor to keep his farm afloat. And let's change our immigration laws so that that's a feasible thing to do. That gets rid of all this stuff about, oh, you just want the cheap labor. No, that gets rid of all the stuff about, oh, you're going to deflate the price, the price of, these farmers. The reason people are getting these jobs is that Americans don't want them. Like there's no reason that we can't have legal ways for people from other countries that are willing to come over here. They love America, that they're willing to come over here and do crappy jobs just to be here. Yeah. I mean, I think he's done a lot of good things in Minnesota. I think that there's one thing that you're talking about that you probably don't even understand what it is. And I think that he made mistakes there, but I don't think they're the mistakes that you think they are. It's not that MAGA understands what's going on in every person's life. It's that MAGA is not going to sit there. Yeah, but see, there you go. You're presuming that everybody that is poor is not building skills or going out and doing things for themselves. That's what I mean when I say you seem to assert for yourself knowledge of other people that you have no way of possessing. I think the two-party system itself sucks. I think parties suck. I wish we could get to a place where people voted for persons instead of colors. Have you been paying attention to the last 100 years? They sent off. Well, I've been paying attention for about the last 48 years. I'm not that old, but I do read history too. They sent off hundreds of thousands of young men to go die in a jungle because of the draft. Yes, I was alive for part of that. My biological father was one of the people that was sent off there. I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about. His wife just picked up their landline and they booted him. If the government could actually be trusted not to throw literal lies at third world country, then sure. I don't even know what that means. How do you throw a literal life at a third world country? I don't even know what that means. Where are we? Are we talking about Venezuela or something? Sometimes there's like this chat is getting so busy that sometimes I have no idea what's going on. If I choose to be a U.S. citizen, then yeah, I'd go for this. It's funny that people who did choose to become that risk their lives for this country are now getting deported. Anyway, I have gone almost 4 hours now, and I have to pee really, really bad. I've had to pee for about 25 minutes now. I appreciate you all. I think that some of you that it's not your first time through, and I feel like there were a few instances where I was able to actually talk to some people, and I appreciate that. So thank you for trying. And so I'll see you again tomorrow. Think I'll do a show tomorrow, but I won't do one on Christmas Day because nobody would want to be here for it. I don't even know if anybody will show up tomorrow, but I'll at least try. And so like I said, I do not celebrate Christmas, but if you do, have a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time with your families, enjoy your food, enjoy your gifts, and have a great Christmas if I don't see you tomorrow. Talk to you later.